fluff on there.
Yeah, there's fluff.
Go live. Uh-oh. All right. Well, I'm live, folks. Dimebag just had to run out to the car. Be right back. I've got Mark from Anaheim on the line today. We're going to have a great show. We do have all your questions. We will be answering them tonight. Just want to give a shout out real quick to Jim from Buffalo. Thank you, brother, for your $50 donation to the show. Terrence from Madison, thank you for your $10 contribution. And Samantha from Vandalia, thank you for your $20 contribution to the show. And also, as always, if you have any ideas and topics, please send it to P.O. Box 133, DeSoto, Missouri, 63020. And, once again, this is the Other Morning Show, and thank you for watching. I believe Dimebag is in the house now.
I do.
Yes.
You going live? What's up?
I'm live on Facebook, and we're live on YouTube, and now we're about ready to go live on Dimebag TV.
Mark's on now?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Mark.
Oh, are you here, Mark? Okay, we'll just do it like this. I'm just going to call right on by. Something must have happened.
What we got here is failure to communicate.
No!
What did you do?
No, that's the answer machine.
Oh.
I hung up the phone and I tried calling back. I thought we got disconnected. But obviously, he must set the phone down. So we might have to do this for a couple of seconds.
Okay.
Until.
What we got here.
No.
We got an issue, folks.
Yes, we do. We have a
But we getting it.
We have
as soon as we get Mark on the line, we're gonna do the thing.
Yeah. We're not using a normal communication.
As soon as we
Kill.
Hello. Oh, thank you, Mark. Sorry about that. We're having some sort of audio issue, but we're golden now. Can you hear us? Hello? Hello, can you hear us?
What the hell's going on?
I am not for sure.
I
hear something on his side, but I don't think he can hear us.
You got the phone muted?
I'm in there. I can't hear you.
Can you hear it now? Hold on. Can you hear us now? Hello?
No, that's not a speaker.
Hold on.
You gotta mute it?
No, I'm gonna try to do it like this here.
Well, you probably have to do that.
Ready to pair.
I don't understand why it's not working right now.
Paired.
Can you hear us now, Mark? No? No good, huh? Hold on. Can you hear us now?
I can hear
You can hear us? But now it's not going into there. Here, plug that back in there. Hopefully I fixed it.
Damn gremlin.
He is really messing with us today. All right. Oop. Let's go back. All right. Now you can hear us. All right. I hope. No. I don't think you can hear us. You can't hear a word I'm saying, can you? I don't get it. I'm not. I guess I just have to unplug this. And we'll just do it like this.
What the fuck's going on?
I don't know what's going on. Now you can hear us, right? Hello?
Hello.
All right, cool. Well, that's it. That's what it is. That's all we got. So it's not. As soon as I hook it up to the big speaker, it just messes up. Is the sound coming out of there?
I don't even know if this thing's on.
It's on. It's on. And then you turn it down.
Maximum volume.
Yeah. Okay. Well, welcome to the show, Mark. We're going to just make do with what we got. Do you want to try to call him on that phone?
I don't even have that set up for that.
I can try my other phone, but
Hold on. Try this. I don't know what the heck's going on with that thing. It was working fine earlier.
it was. Yeah.
Ready to pair.
Okay, I put that on.
Plug that in there and see if that works.
What is that? Like it's a cord issue? Are you still there, Mark?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, now we're good. We're good. I guess it was a bad cord. All right. So let's you want
I gotta go live on this. I didn't click the live button.
so they missed all that epic footage.
Good for calling CIA Public Affairs Office.
Probably. Tell them to knock it off.
Oh man, I think that's gonna be a good show if I can get them to come on.
Been having issues with this stuff all day.
We got that. We also have the Heartland Institute coming up. Might be getting their president on the show. A lot of exciting people, for sure.
The Uranus.
The Academy of Uranus.
Uranus.
Yeah.
I had a
You
mental.
ran us.
You ran us. Oh man. Words.
B Toys is gone since I talked to you last. Well, not gone, but closing a lot of their stores.
Toys R Us.
Yeah, we be Toys.
Well, it cracks me up how everyone's crediting Trump with this, the stock rallies and everything.
Everyone. Not everyone.
Yeah, well, not me personally.
From Anaheim.
Oh, because I understand how the stock market truly works. But it's like no one's going to credit him when it ultimately crashes either. We're going to blame it on Obama or Bush.
Crash. He talked all this crap about how the Negro had the highest employment rating.
We live on YouTube.
The news stats came out where we have 7.7 unemployment. You didn't hear them say crap about it.
No. And you won't.
No.
Exactly. Because the same people who put him in office, mainstream media, are the ones who keep him in office, mainstream media. But when you got 6 corporations that control 97% of the media, then what do you expect?
Right. It's crazy.
Now, when was that law?
He may not be good for the country, but he's good for ratings.
Yep. If it wasn't for Trump, corporate media would be done. I think they would be completely done if it wasn't for Trump.
That's the cable.
Well, I mean, but we're currently.
So what's Trump's true purpose?
To enrich the richer. I mean, it seems like that's what everybody else does.
Showman.
Yeah, he's a diversionary tactic.
No, Trump is a showman. Trump's job is to distract the masses who won't notice that the economy is about to crash worse than ever before.
Yes, that's what. See, they always, look at the right hand, while that left hand's doing some dirty stuff.
Yep. You know it.
It's like I tell folks, the Democratic Party wanted Trump in the White House. That's why they made sure Hillary, instead of Bernie, got the nominee.
Mm-hmm.
And even in spite of the fact they knew that Hillary was the worst candidate the Democratic Party could offer popular votes, so they had to rig damn electoral college votes.
And they did rig the electoral college votes.
And do you know why it was important that a Republican get in the White House?
No. Why?
I don't know why. The last president was a Republican.
When's the last time we had a major stock market crash?
2008.
Republican in office.
It was Democrat, Obama.
And before that,
Oh no.
When the stock market crashed, when the stock market started going down, that was Bush.
Yeah.
Bush.
At the end of Bush.
Yeah.
go. Well, it started in 2007.
Yeah, under Bush.
2008. Obama didn't swear in until 2009, guys. So
Yeah.
who was the what?
Bush.
It was Bush.
Party got blamed for it.
The Republican. They'll do the
Get
same.
blamed for it this time.
The Republican.
Now go back and look what happened when the statement the loan crash. Who was in the White House?
That was that Franny Mae shit.
Well, it's probably most likely. I think every time the stock market crashed, it was a Republican in office. If you go back and look at it, because
Look, listen. Very little in U.S. politics happens by accident. It's called political science.
Right.
Two major parties.
yeah,
Parties.
huh?
Something's happening with the internet. It's really.
Political parties in this country.
There's Republican, Democrat, the main.
Yeah. They're the only two main two parties. That's Republican and Democrat.
Well,
Which one is government agency?
I don't know.
We're having a hard time hearing you.
Democratic Party or government agency?
Democrat Party's government.
Well, it got blocked out. I couldn't hear
I
you.
know it's like right to
Well,
keep.
like it's cutting out, like it's cutting in and out on us. So we'll hear like bits of what you're saying.
You try to call me back?
Yeah, let's do that.
Man, this is so weird.
It's been like that all day.
Before today, this was the least of the issue was the audio. Audio is perfect, but now all of a sudden it's like, oh.
Trump re-election campaign headquarters.
Yes. It's the other morning show.
All right, we got Mark back on the phone, folks.
Now
So my question to you is the Republican Party a government agency?
it should no.
No, it's a private entity.
Is it Democratic a government agency?
No,
No.
it's a private entity. It's a corporation. They both are.
So when they have the primaries, let's say I was running against Ted Nugent. And let's say Ted Nugent got 20% of the vote and I got 80% of the vote in the primary.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm on the Republican ticket. Ted's on the Republican ticket in the primary. Who gets to go to the committee and become the representative of the Republican Party in the national elections against the Democrats?
Wouldn't it be whoever the party chairs elect?
The nominee, whoever wins the primary.
But it should be him if he won the 80% and Ted only got 20.
Yeah, it should be able to get the 80%.
Now, what about the Democratic Party? If I was on the Democratic Party, I got 80% of the vote, Ted Nugent got 20%. Who represents the Democratic Party against the Republican ticket for president?
Whoever the superdelegates choose.
The fact that I got 80% and he only got 20?
That's what them superdelegates was invented for, to keep grassroots candidates.
Let's go back now, because we gotta do this for our listening audience.
Yes.
One, you both agree. Well, everybody's agreed. The Republican Party is a private entity.
Right.
Two, the Democratic Party is a private entity.
Mm-hmm.
Three, regardless of who you vote for, they can pick who the hell they want at their convention to be the representative.
Yep.
Then why the hell are you voting in the primary?
Yes.
And I don't
It's
even know.
a waste of time.
Dude,
Just to show you how naive and ignorant people who are in the party. That question I just asked was asked by someone representing the Republican Party during the election.
Who was that asked by?
Because they said, we can pick whoever we want at the damn convention. And he goes, well, then why the hell do we have a primary? He was being facetious.
He was being honest.
Is one, you don't pick the president of the United States. You never have and you never will.
no.
I want to sit here and talk all this crap. You had Hillary Clinton and her cousin running for president, and they wanted her cousin in the White House.
And they got it.
Because there was no candidate on the Democratic ticket who was a weaker candidate than Hillary Clinton.
No, a shit sandwich could have beat her.
Well, I was unsure about
First of all, you had 28 straight years of a Bush or a Clinton in the White House, and the U.S. had already demonstrated they did not want another Bush or Clinton in the White House. So why the hell are you going to pick a female? Then you got a woman who's going to come out. I'm going to be nice today, so I won't say that she looks like the troll under the bridge. But you're going to have a woman come out and tell women, if you don't vote for Hillary Clinton, then you're a traitor. That's what you tell all the feminists.
Oh, gosh.
How are you going to tell somebody to vote for Hillary just because she's a woman?
What she say? It's a special place in hell.
Yeah. Now let me just explain this to you. Hillary Clinton is no feminist. What's the one thing Hillary Clinton did or didn't do that clearly shows you she's not a feminist?
She did not leave Bill Clinton's monkey ass when he got busted with Monica.
To go. I hope all the listeners got that.
No,
And
because
since all we colored folks sound alike, that was not Mark who said that. But it's very accurate.
Yes.
because at the end of the day, Hillary Clinton is who she is. It's because of Bill. It ain't because if you look at her record, she ain't done nothing. She hasn't done anything.
Well,
She's not qualified to do really anything.
It gets deeper than that, okay? I know you guys know I'm always railing about the John Birch Society,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, she's a birther too?
Well, she was a Barry Goldwater girl.
Yeah, well, that explains everything.
The number one progressive talk show host in the country is Tom Hartman. Guess what he was?
His daddy wasn't his daddy in the John Birch
He was a
Society?
Barry Goldwater boy.
Yeah, he comes from a conservative background.
You will never hear him mention the John Birch Society once on his radio show. Never.
And he was a shield for Hillary in 2016.
Yes, he was. He calls himself a progressive, but when progressives came out and criticized Hillary, he's like, well, we don't want to be like everybody else and have the party now fighting each other.
It was a lot of it.
You know, the same kind of rhetoric like Barack Hussein Obama.
Yes.
When he got elected. Now, when Ronald Reagan was president, now I already told you the savings and loan crisis. When Ronald Reagan was president, even in spite of the fact that Reagan's policies of deregulation helped lead to the rapid expansion of monopolies in this country again.
Yes.
Do you know more than 500 bankers went to prison, were indicted, found guilty, and went to prison because of their criminal activity when Reagan was president?
No.
How many bankers went to prison under Obama after the 2007-2008 economic debacle in this country?
No, they didn't go to prison. They went to the fucking happy house.
I would say more people got bonuses than went to jail.
Two did, and neither one of them was very light skinned. But anyway, the point is, Obama's first thing he did came out and said, "We must look forward, not backwards."
Yep. He said that a
So
lot
what
of
was the
times
message?
too.
Yeah, what was the message?
We gonna bail the banks out
The
with
message
your
was,
money.
you don't go to prison, and then what do we do after that? We use the taxpayers' money to bail out whom?
The banks.
And did the banks give us loans to buy a house after that?
Heck no.
Mm-mm.
In
No.
fact, if you had a savings account, it cost you money to keep your money in the bank.
Yep.
Talk about robbery.
Because interest rates were so low that you weren't making any money keeping your money in the bank. And they started charging you to keep money in the bank.
Mm-hmm. Well, now if
So what I'm saying is to you is this, okay? The stock market has always been a pyramid scheme.
Yes.
Now, in the 70s, something very unique happened in this country that people don't realize, okay? Up until the 70s, we had a glutton of jobs. In other words, there were more jobs than there were people. But that all changed in the 70s. Anybody that know what's the major thing that happened in this country that changed that forever?
Wasn't the oil crisis?
No. What happened was, I'll give you a hint. You come a long way, baby. I know you guys are young, so that doesn't mean anything to you. I don't know if it's still around. I don't know if it's still around, but there used to be a cigarette called Virginia Slims.
yeah, they still around.
Well, that was the ad for Virginia Slims. Guess what? Guess who smokes Virginia Slims?
Who?
Women.
Yeah. Well, they do.
Them long ass, skinny ass
Because
cigarettes.
Virginia Slims is a smaller cigarette, which means women smoke the smaller cigarette.
I think it probably was
So
abortion.
Virginia Slims was big sponsors and things like tennis. So, you had Billie Jean King.
Yes.
You had the feminist movement.
Yes.
For the first time, women are saying, I ain't staying home. Now, mind you, this ain't the first time we had women in the workplace, because, of course, we're black women. Black women work in the fields all their lives. But basically what you had was, for the first time, women saying, and, the real Rosie the Riveter, by the way, died 2 weeks ago, and it got hardly any press. But we talk about Doc and everything, and I'm coming back to Virginia Slims here, but we talk about Doc and everything, and folks have a very short memory in this country. During World War II, there were so few men left in this country to work. Not only was there nobody at the border, the United States government begged Mexicans to come here illegally to work.
Mm-hmm.
And when that wasn't enough work, then women were allowed to go out and do all the jobs men were doing in the factories and stuff. Now, historically, this is very significant because what happened was you have many of those people who were here illegally since World War II that have stayed in this country. And do you know right now they could get deported?
Mm-hmm.
That's a shame. That's a shame.
But when it comes to the women, it's all connected, man. When it comes to the women, for the first time, a lot of these women did not go back home to the kitchen when the men came back from Europe.
Right.
They went
Now,
to
there was
the
no work
jobs.
revolution the way there was in the 70s, but what I'm saying is a lot of women, for the first time, they had a good, decent paying job working in the factory. They kept those jobs. Now, additionally, of course, we had the WPA program, the workers program, and Franklin Delano Roosevelt, of course, created the GI Bill.
Mm-hmm.
So for the first time, with the savings alone, the average American could buy a home. Up until that time, only rich people had homes.
Everyone else lived where?
So with the GI
Slums.
Bill, for the first time, the average American was allowed to go to college, and the average American was actually buying homes. Most people, they built their houses.
Mm. Gotcha.
Okay? See, so a lot of folks in this country have a short memory. So you see a lot of the grandparents today, those grandparents, they got that house because they got a GI Bill. A great movie with Denzel Washington doesn't get much attention, but I liked it. But I have personal reasons for it, too, because some of the movies filmed at the Ambassador Hotel. Now, that wouldn't mean anything to you, but Ambassador Hotel was this huge hotel in L.A., and that's where Robert Kennedy was assassinated in 1968. Well, the Ambassador Hotel, the movie Devil in the Blue Dress, a lot of it filmed there. And Denzel Washington is this black guy who comes home from the war, and he's got his GI loan, and he buys a home. And the average black, the average white person in this country, they didn't go to college.
No.
They didn't go in. There was no middle class until after World War II, is what I'm trying to tell you. And that's where this country's headed back to now. They're going back to eliminating middle class. Now, I mentioned this whole thing about the Mexicans coming across the border. At the same time, so many white males came back home from the war, and Rosie the Riveter didn't give up her job. Guess what was created in this country for the first time?
Was it unemployment benefits?
Motorcycle gangs.
Yes.
That's where the Hells Angels come from. The Hells Angels are all World War II veterans who came home and were pissed off at white women because those white women, as far as they were concerned, took their jobs.
Mm.
That and the niggers and the wetbacks.
Yes.
And that's why the Hells Angels, if you notice who they hate women, they hate niggers, and they hate wetbacks.
Right.
And these guys figured they fought in the war for this country and came back home. And for the first time, guess what? Well, you know, you had a job at the plant while you were gone, but Susie Rottencrotch is working there now, man.
Yeah. For a hell of a lot less.
Straight out, seriously. Now, it's kind of ironic because earlier I know one of the brothers mentioned Trump getting credit for unemployment. You know, Harley Davidson right now is on hard times, right?
No,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. And you know why? Because this country has gotten so bad in the way it treats its employees, the average U.S. citizen can no longer afford to buy a Harley Davidson motorcycle.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah.
One of the greatest quotes by Henry Ford was, oh, by the way, speaking of Henry Ford, what's Henry Ford most famous for?
The assembly
Model T-
line.
Yeah. Yeah. Automation.
Except for one thing. He stole that from George Washington Carver and Booker T. Washington.
Mm.
I wouldn't be
There was no
surprised.
assembly line until Henry Ford went down to Tuskegee Institute, and that's where he learned about the assembly line and took that back to Michigan.
You know, I hear
Also, you
so
guys know
much
that?
about Tuskegee. I hear so, you know, the syphilis, the black airmen.
Well, let's not get into syphilis. I just asked you a question. Did you know that about the assembly line?
No, sir.
No.
That you know that. Because this is white America. They take credit for all of our shit.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
Henry Ford stole the assembly line idea from Tuskegee Institute. In fact, George Washington Carver, I think no less than 80 products he had come up with made from peanut oil. And this is back before. Oh, and by the way, he saved the white farmers down in Alabama.
How?
In Mississippi, because they're all they have to do is grow cotton. Now, I don't know if any of you farmers, but when it comes to your soil, you have to rotate the crop. If you don't rotate the crop, the soil dies. And these white, you know, they didn't know any better, so they couldn't understand why their cotton production was so low. So who comes in? They bring in a nigger. This nigger taught these white folks how to rotate their crops, but more importantly, he taught them how to eat weeds in their yard. He said, no, this weed, because they're poor.
Right.
He's like, listen, I know these are weeds. Let me point out the ones that are poisonous, but most of these anybody can eat. And taught them how to boil weeds in their pot, just like you do cabbage, colored greens, turnip greens, whatever. So the very same people who after slavery and Jim Crow era, who was treating blacks like crap, George Washington Carver saved them.
Wow.
Meanwhile, these people had peanuts in their yard. They didn't even know what to do with the peanuts. So they should just plow that up or feed that to their hogs. By the way, I know all about peanuts too because I grew up working in fields in South Carolina.
So you ate boiled peanuts?
Oh yeah, baked peanuts, boiled peanuts, broiled peanuts, you name it. But the thing is, raw peanuts. Gotta be careful with raw peanuts though, because you eat the wrong ones at the wrong time, dude. It'll mess your stomach up. But I digress. So the thing is though, George Washington Carver went to the United States government. After all these white folks were sitting there arguing about whether or not they were going to have tariffs on peanuts or whether the U.S. government should support the peanut production down in the South, 15 minutes left, they said, well, boy, you got 15 minutes. Is that enough time for you to make your presentation here? Well, no, sir, but I'll give it a shot. This brother pulls out a suitcase he brought with him. I am not shitting you. In that suitcase, he had more than 80 different products he had made from peanuts.
Mm.
George Washington Carver not only saved the United States peanut production, saved the damn racist Jim Crow South, but also saved a lot of the U.S. economy that was going down because so much of the United States economy was based on agriculture.
Right.
And He, along with guys like Booker T. Washington and others, were responsible for the assembly line. And it's sad because I'm talking to brothers right now and they don't know this.
Right.
Now, you guys are a little old. You're old enough to know this. Have you ever heard the name Lena Horne?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I just came from the post office before the show. I should ask you this too. Why is the post office still around if these Tea Party folks want to privatize everything?
Because it's
And they
already
know that the
privatized.
post office stands in the way of DHL and Federal Express and,
The brown
but why is the
shirts.
post office still around?
Well, I thought because it was already privatized.
Post office is not privatized.
No, it's
You
still,
look at any post office vehicle, what kind of license plate does it
it's
have?
Oh,
got
that
government
government,
stuff
yeah.
on it. Yeah, it's still got government stuff.
Yeah,
on
why
it.
is it then?
The U.S. Post Office is the largest. Their employees are the largest union,
Oh,
one of the last remaining unions, by the way, in the United States.
gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
So I'm gonna ask you, why is the U.S. Post Office still around?
The union.
No. Unions have lost everything since Ronald Reagan came in. Ronald Reagan came in, the air traffic controllers went on strike. Pisses me off too, by the way. I actually have photographs I had photographs of air traffic controllers on strike in 1991 in Washington, D.C. And do you know I cannot find any of those photographs? That's the most bizarre thing. The only other time I lost photographs like that is when I took photographs of Ralph Abernathy and others in the civil rights marches back in the 60s. And see, back in those days, you used to take your film to a drugstore, like Rexall drugstore. All those photographs of Ralph Abernathy and those guys in the Charleston Police Department turning the dogs on the marches. All those photographs mysteriously disappeared. But anyway, my point is, when Ronald Reagan told the air traffic controllers to go back to work, and they said no, he said, if you don't go back to work by tomorrow, I'll replace all of y'all dumbasses with military air traffic controllers. And guess what he did?
He replaced them.
And I'm going to tell you something. To this day, we have no idea how many airline crashes happen in this country because of what Reagan did. Because first of all, when you're a military air traffic controller, you have restricted airspace. So you don't deal with the amount of airplanes coming in and out of your airspace because it's a military territory.
Right.
Secondly, military places, they follow strict rules and regulations that civilian airlines don't. The workload that a military air traffic controller had was minuscule compared to what you do in an average LAX or Kennedy Airport or O'Hara. So Reagan, I'm just telling you, because of the Reagan administration, two things happened at that. Americans died in air crashes back during that time period, but also he sent them out. If government unions no longer have protection, then fuck it. Screw everybody too who's a union worker. Unions in this country started losing their damn power. So going back to what I said earlier about getting the slims, unions had power in this country up until the 70s. Always more jobs than there were employees. Okay, you don't give me what I want, I'll leave this job and go over here. They're telling women, tell you, just remember this adage. If you don't remember this, anything else I tell you today. When people think they're fighting the system, they're often doing what the system wants them to do.
Right.
And change from the system, and the system, they can't go back and complain later on because they only, the system says, well, hey, just what you demanded, so we gave it to you.
Mm-hmm.
So you got all these women out there now burning their bras, going topless, going braless, smoking Virginia Slim cigarettes, not staying home barefoot and pregnant anymore, demanding jobs in the workplace with men, equal rights. And who led that movement?
The feminists.
Okay, who's the number one feminist in the women's rights movement?
Oh, what's that shit?
Not full shit.
Had a magazine. And you ever heard the name Gloria Steinem?
Yep. I
You know
know
she's
she is.
CIA.
No, I did not know that.
But I heard of that chick.
Gloria Steinem was CIA. So what am I telling you? It was led by what organization?
The CIA, Central Intelligence Agency.
Term in front of CIA. God, do you? Sorry, I was mentored by old school spooks.
Well,
They use the term. They never say "the" in front of CIA.
oh. But didn't that also help as far as
anyway,
the breakup of the family in the 80s, all the abortions, or not abortions, but divorces?
it was in the 80s. It started in the 70s.
Okay.
Now, what was interesting up until that time, you want to talk about the breakup of the family. You got folks like this Uncle Tom House Negro Larry Elder, who loves to repeat this right-wing crap. Well, the number one reason, and now, by the way, Barack Hussein Obama did it too. The number one reason for the problems in the black community, because the black father's not at home.
Right.
You hear that all the time, right?
Hitler had a father. Look how he turned out.
Because Nam, all the black fathers in World War II.
He's just
over there in some other countries. Now, I'm not saying a man in the house is not important. But what I'm saying is from day one that we were brought here, remember, we were brought here. We didn't ask to come to the United States.
Right.
The black man had no power in his own house. Before he started, is there anybody there who does not know what the term jump the broom means?
That's where the slaves got married. That was a part of the marriage.
Exactly. But I'm saying that for you to answer me because your listeners may not know what we know. So always remind yourself of that. So before you could even jump the broom with your slave wife, who slept with her?
Oh, master.
Who gave you permission to even get married?
Master.
So when people talk this crap about, oh, the black man's got to be in the home, that's a bunch of crap. Because they kill off the black man.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right? So what I'm saying is it's been black women all along. You look at all the shows like The Matrix. Who's the one that saves the planet?
The black woman.
Yeah.
There you go. And that's Hollywood telling you that. Who saved Alabama from itself in the recent election?
Black
with Roy
women.
Moore.
Black women.
There you go. So I'm not going to beat this in the ground. What I'm just saying to you is, when you get all these feminists now out in the streets demanding equal rights, led by a woman who's working for CIA, what happened for the first time in this country? There were more employees than there were jobs.
Wow.
So now you don't have that bargaining chip from a union threatening to go from one job to another if that company doesn't give you what you want.
Right.
Wow.
Something else happened during that time period. Because, see, the American dream has always been a nightmare for the average person. And I know we alluded to it the last time I was on because we talked about shows like The Rich and Famous and all that stuff. They always want you to, glamorize and idolize and want to be just like other folks. That's why Trump's in the White House. He symbolizes everything the average white American and black, for that matter, has been programmed to believe. I want to be a white man who can say what I want, do what I want, and spend money like I don't care.
Yep.
All right. So, to give you that pipe dream, what happened in the late 70s, early 80s? Two things. One, now that you have a glutton of people in the workplace, and you no longer have that bargaining chip. Now, people don't realize it, but there was a reason why women were at home. All of a sudden, women are in the workplace now. They're not breastfeeding their babies. So where's the baby getting the nourishment from?
Formula.
So people are making money by convincing you don't need to stay home and titty feed your baby.
Right.
Now, mind you, breastfeeding your child, you're giving that child the immunization you already have, and there's no need for them to get many, if any, vaccinations.
Yes.
Now you're putting all these children on baby formula. You got to be vaccinated. So now another industry is making money off you.
Mm-hmm.
Women not in the workplace. Who's cleaning the house?
Yeah. Who's
You got somebody else
indoctrinating
now in your house. Who's watching your child?
the nanny?
Or the babysitter.
So you got somebody else watching your child, titty feeding your baby, and you're out there thinking that you're getting equal rights because this is how you've been programmed to go out there and believe. Meanwhile, you're not even making enough money to cover the cost of the person you're hiring to do what you should have been at home doing.
Right.
So now husband and wife both are in the workplace. If you were to take the average woman in this country and pay the average housewife the salary for the kind of work she did at home, she would have been almost in the six figures back in the 1970s.
Mm.
Picking up the children from school, babysitting all day, not to mention breastfeeding,
Right.
cooking, cleaning, parent-teachers associating meetings, all the things, taking them to soccer matches. I mean, just go on and on and on. Grocery shopping. If you look at the things that an average woman at home was doing as a housewife, as they call it, as a mother at home, and gave that woman some self-worth by letting her know how important that was,
Right.
you wouldn't have had so many women being brainwashed and convinced that there was something wrong with her staying at home. So now you got both people out there in the workplace. Nobody's sitting at the dinner table at home anymore, but something else happened. People now realize, guess what? They can't afford to stay in the middle class, capture that American dream of the 3-bedroom, 2-car garage, white picket fence home. So what happened in this country for the first time that the average American never had before?
What?
A credit card.
Oh, God.
Up until that time, and I was brought up this way, if you can't pay for it in cash,
Don't mess
then
with
you don't need it.
Yep.
But all of a sudden in the 70s, now you got husband and wife, if you're lucky to have the husband still alive because Vietnam took its toll on us. But if you had a husband and wife at home, all of a sudden both of them are out in the workplace and they got a credit card. They're being encouraged. Oh, that's okay. You don't have to wait like your parents did to get this. You can get it now.
Right.
Just put it on credit.
Pay the interest.
Now, brother mentioned earlier the oil thing. Now, that was OPEC. And I think I've asked this question before, but I'll ask it again because we have new listeners. How long has the United States been a member of OPEC?
Never been one. Never been a member.
There you go. And yet here you got OPEC telling us I can only buy gas on odd days because the last number on my license plate is an odd number. We were hurt so badly by the OPEC oil embargo in the 1970s that depending on what your license plate was, on even number on your license plate was the last number, you went and bought gas today, odd number tomorrow. People were killing each other. People were killing each other in two places. One, in the gas lines at the gas station, and two, stealing gas from people not knowing how to do it. And when they used to use water hoses to suck the gas out, they would swallow some of the gas and end up killing themselves. 70s, okay?
Yeah, let it gasoline.
While women are out there on the street, you come a long way, baby. And so now for the first time, an average employer, which is nothing more than a step up from being what you would call not so much a slave master, but more like
Sweatshop.
Indentured servant overseer. And if you remember, a lot of folks talk about places like Georgia. And we talked earlier about how Australia was a slave nation, okay? They opened up the prisons in England and around Europe. Hey, go out there and kill them niggas over there. In fact, I talk about tennis. Who's the most famous black tennis player ever?
Oh, that one guy.
Either Arthur Ashe.
Let me make this even better. Who's the most famous black female tennis player?
Oh, Serena.
Yeah. Serena.
I'm sorry?
Serena Williams.
Hell no. See, that's what I'm talking about. You need to guys go back and look at the name Althea Davis.
Never heard of her.
No, me neither.
Well, here's one for you. Have you ever heard of Yvonne Goolagong?
No.
Listeners out there, they're freaking out right now because folks, they didn't know that Yvonne Goolagong was a nigger too, because she's half Aborigine.
What did she do?
So there's a name for you. Ass in tennis. Yvonne, E-V as in Victor, O-N-N-E, Goolagong. And see, this is what I'm talking about, brother. So going back to what I said earlier, I went to the post office today, and I'm talking to a black female in her 20s, and she didn't even know who the hell Lena Horne was.
Mm.
And the only reason we even came up with that conversation is because I said, hey, it's Color History Month. What colored folk stamp you got in here? And I said that out loud so all the white folks in line can feel uncomfortable because I don't give a shit. And she goes, well, we got Lena, and then she goes, Lena Monroe. I'm like, who? And then she looked at a sheet of stamps. She goes, oh, Lena Horne. Oh, Lena Horne? I go, do you know who Lena Horne is? No.
Mm.
I go, sister, you probably wouldn't have that job at the post office right now if it wasn't for Lena Horne. I go, Lena Horne was the most beautiful woman in Hollywood. Red Fox always talked about her on Sanford and Son. That was his fantasy woman right there, Lena Horne, Lena Horne, Lena Horne. All right? And I go, Lena Horne lost her status in Hollywood because she would not put up with white America.
Mm.
I go, she was a mulatto. Stupid me. I go, you do know what a mulatto is, right? Now, mind you, I'm talking to a black female in her 20s. She didn't have a clue what the hell I was talking about when I said mulatto.
No way.
Getting pissed off because I'm just standing there talking. Because I don't give a shit. I go, well, let me clue you in. If you think this country's not a racist country, just remember this. People on the planet in this country that have a name for every drop of blood they are.
Mm-hmm.
If you half white and half black, you're a mulatto.
Right.
If you're a quarter, you're a quadroon. If you're an eighth, you're an octoroon. And you just go on down the line.
That's sick.
I go, well, Lena Horne, I always talk about because I'm from South Carolina. And I've urinated on Andrew Jackson's grave and John C. Calhoun's grave. I didn't tell her this, but I'll tell you all this because I don't give a shit. I go, I've even slept with white girls on the coffin, on the tombstones. Well, on the tombstone, but I digress. I've even slept with white girls on the tombstones of John C. Calhoun in Charleston, South Carolina.
Mm.
I think he's cute by standing there at the White House with Andrew Jackson in the background while he's posing with the Native Americans who were the wind walkers. Now, do you know what the wind talkers and wind walkers were?
No.
The Marine Corps was successful as they were in the Japanese island campaigns because the Japanese could not break the Navajo Indians' communication. So instead of using Americans who were white, because God knows we had colored folks there, but they don't ever show colored folks in the movie, but they were black Marines, called the Montford Point Marines. They brought in Native Americans. Now, there's a movie with Nicolas Cage, which I really do not recommend because it was an embarrassment. The movie Wind Talkers, where Native Americans were brought in, they were the radio operators, and they were able to talk on radio without having any kind of security equipment, encryption device, because the Japanese could not understand their language.
Right.
So had it not been for the Navajo Indians during World War II, the U.S. Marine Corps and Navy would not have been as successful in the Japanese island campaigns as they were. So how does Donald Trump, just to show how racist he is and how this country's racist? To honor them, he stands in front of the death of thousands of Native Americans, including the Trail of Tears to Oklahoma, and he starts talking about Pocahontas, Elizabeth Warren.
Mm.
First of all, Pocahontas is not her name. That's the name given to her by whites. And you know Pocahontas is the favorite squaw of all Native Americans by the whites in this country, right?
Right, but that word squaw has some negative connotations.
Because that word squaw is not in any Native American language. That word squaw came from white folks that in other circles stands for the C word.
Mm.
So I don't use the word squaw. And yet in this racist country we have today, you got ski resorts in areas called Squaw Valley. As I'm speaking to you right now.
That's wow. And we can't say
Well,
these
it
people
goes
don't
back to
understand.
Redskins. Now, you know, because we're all over the place, I don't care. I don't give a shit. So, do you know why folks are upset about the term used by the Washington Redskins? Any idea?
No, not right offhand.
Tell history, not his story. There were no white millionaires in this country until something like 30, 40 years after the so-called independence. First of all, wealthy whites did not come to this country. When you're wealthy and you're stable, you're not going to risk what you have to go jump all over the planet.
Right.
You like what you got, you stay, keep your white ass at home. The people who were out there traveling were pirates. And many of those so-called pirates were not pirates, by the way. They were working for Lloyd's of London. Ever heard of Lloyd's of London?
I've heard of them.
Mm-hmm.
You guys got some research to do. So a lot of these so-called pirates were actually working for various queens and kings, but if they got caught, you don't get caught flying the flag of that country. You're a private mercantile. You're a pirate.
Privateer.
But they were actually out there looking for resources to bring back to their respective kings and queens. Lloyd's of London has caused more murder on this planet. By the way, I should just tell you this. The U.S. flag is nothing more. When I say Lloyd's of London, I'm actually talking about the British East India Trade Company.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you look at British East India Trade Company, the U.S. flag is nothing more than Betsy Ross putting 13 stars on the British East India Trade Company flag. You look at Hawaii and you'll see that there's nothing but the British East Indian Trade Company flag on the state of Hawaii.
Mm.
I laugh because, Hawaiians like to talk their smack. First of all, they don't even realize they're niggers. When the United States took over that island, they stole it from a queen. The only queen that those islands ever had. That queen was black because the original settlers, permanent settlers in Hawaii, were black Polynesians. But see, Hawaiians don't even know that. Of course, they know that when they go to other countries to surf and stuff.
Oh, yeah. They'll get that
Anyway.
Negro wake-up call.
Right. So, anyway, when you look at George Washington was not wealthy. He might have been well off by standards back then, but the average person who came to this country were the ones who fled religious persecution, were fleeing criminal persecution.
Right.
And when you went to places like Georgia, unlike Australia, that really was a penal colony, it's not really true and accurate to describe in Georgia with the so-called penal colony because, yeah, they were a penal colony, but you have to understand, back in those days, oh, by the way, they're bringing this back now, especially in states like where you live. Write a check that bounces, your ass can go to jail now in a lot of states, a lot of Tea Party states.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Debtor prisons.
So most of the so-called criminals, by the way, that's how it was in the Marine Corps up until we started having credit cards. You wrote a bad check on the Marine Corps base the first time, you got a warning. You wrote a check on the Marine Corps base the second time that bounced, and you could not use a check on base, and you end up getting busted and ranked.
Oh, shit.
Okay?
They're not playing
So,
around with them
because most of these
checks.
laws don't have anything to do with crime. It has to do with you fucking with the bankers, and you do not fuck with the bankers.
Right.
So,
Mm-hmm.
what I'm telling you is, and that's what Lloyd's of London is, up until maybe the late 80s, early 90s, Lloyd's of London underwrote every insurance policy in this country. I don't give a damn whether you had car insurance, house insurance, life insurance. It was underwritten by Lloyd's of London.
Oh, shit.
So the U.S. might have won the so-called Revolutionary War, but the British banks were here to bail them out afterwards. So who was really running the country?
The British banks.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Nothing's changed. So what ended up happening is when you have George Washington came here, he goes out to Native American lands, becomes a relatively successful real estate agent because he was selling land to white people coming here, not telling them the Native Americans already are on that land. These white folks would get killed by the Native Americans, so he got to sell the same land over and over again. That's how he made his fortune.
That's
Now-
dirty as hell.
Now, while you're laughing, I'm going to tell you how the Redskins came in. So as more and more white folks started getting hip to this, they had to figure out what they're going to do about this. So you started hiring bushwhackers, as they call them, white boys to go all over Native American land to go out and clear the land before these white folks came in to build their homes. Well, corruption's everywhere at the lowest levels, and it's hard for you to bring in an entire dead body
Mm.
to get paid.
Mm.
So the compromise was, I tell you what, you bring me in their ears, and we'll pay you for every 2 ears you bring in.
Mm.
So they would kill Native Americans, cut their ears off. But white boys, you know, they corrupt and shit. So like, fuck it, man. These motherfuckers don't know whether this is an Indian, because that's what they call them, Indian, or a white boy. So they would kill white folks, cut their ears off, and bring them in and get paid too.
Oh, stop.
Well, you know, bankers don't like to get ripped off, so bankers got hip to this. No. From now on, you bring us the scalp, because you might be able to fool us with the ears, but you can't fool us with their scalp.
Shit.
The term redskin comes from the blood dripping on down their faces, all over their skin, drenching their body with blood from scalping Native Americans. That's where the term redskin comes from. So when you have a capital city for the United States government that refuses to make its football team get rid of that term redskin, that tells you exactly how they feel about the Native Americans in this country.
Right. Right. And you better not get twisted.
So when people say it's not a big deal, what's the big deal? It's a big deal.
It is a huge deal. Once you explain it like that.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about the butchering of another human being. But it's just a joke.
Not only that, specifically, that's how the term even came about.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And yet, I'm going to ask you, gentlemen, have any of you heard that story before?
No.
That's why we got
There
you
you
on
go.
the show.
Yeah, that's the first time.
But it's sad because, once again, for the listeners who may not have heard me before, I don't want you to believe anything I tell you. You go out and do your own damn research, and I challenge you to come back and tell this show I lied to you. So I know I've gone on for a while, so I'm going to ask you, did you have anybody who had some questions that may have called in, or the brothers there have any questions?
Actually, we do. A lot of people responded. You are a very popular person. So I'm going to start off with, this is from...
So before you start off, let me just start off. I'm sitting here right now, thanks to your show last time, because I don't want to leave the show today with somebody knocking on the damn door. So I just remember that's how I left the show last time.
Yeah.
On my door. And I don't believe in coincidence. Okay? But, you know, I'm sorry. Like I said, I don't give a shit. So go ahead and ask your question.
All right. This question is from Arius Queen. Do you think this Q person is the real deal? And have we ever been out of space? That's from Arius Queen.
What's a Q person?
That QAnon, the new deep throat leaker.
So obviously, I don't even know what you're talking about. So one of the things I will never do is try to impress you or your listening audience by trying to answer questions that I have no information on. I'm sorry, but I'm not familiar with that.
Gotcha.
Okay. Here's another one. This one is from guy sent this one in named Reasonable Dude.
He's a rarity in this country. So go ahead.
It says he wrote, "What is the corporate fascist John Birch Society ultimate plan for Black Americans in the future, and what will America be like?" I'm not even done. I'm not done.
I can tell already. Whoever. Oh, I'm sorry. Are you finished with the question?
No, I'm still. It's still a little bit more. And it said,
okay, I'm sorry.
The John Birch Society ultimate plan for Black Americans in future, and what will America be like for Black Americans after the coming Civil War?
Whoever reasonable dude is asking a rhetorical question, because you don't ask a question like that unless he already knows the answer, but he just wants me to put it out there so for the rest of the world to hear it. The John Birch Society is interesting because if you notice right now, a lot of folks are using the term McCarthyism in describing how people want to go after Trump. It's like McCarthyism. Well, let me tell you how stupid that is. That's doublespeak. Trump and Pence are John Birch Society members. McCarthyism comes from the guy who was the head of the John Birch Society back in the 50s. And guess what his last name was?
Probably Coke.
McCarthy.
McCarthy. Yeah, he was a member.
No, he was the leader.
The leader.
There's a big difference from just being a member and being the leader. I'm telling you. So when you hear the term McCarthyism, that tells you how dumbed down this country is, because they don't even realize the very people using the term accusing other people of attacking them with McCarthyism are the ones who are the reason why that term even exists. McCarthyism comes from the John Birch Society. Anybody who disagrees with them, they call you a traitor right now, a Muslim sympathizer, or like they tried to. Well, they already called the Democratic Party treason last week when they didn't stand up for Trump at the State of the Union. But they call you a treacherous traitor if you support DACA. In other words, anybody who doesn't agree with them is a traitor.
Right.
Well, back in the 50s, anybody who didn't agree with them was a communist. Now, who was president? We talked about the savings alone. Who was president in the 1980s? From 1980 to 1988, who was president?
Ronald Reagan.
John Birch Society. In fact, John Birch Society, Ronald Reagan wrote many of the speeches for Barry Goldwater in 1964. John Birch Society.
It seems like it always lead back to the John Birch Society.
I'm telling you. And you don't hear anybody in the country even mention their damn name except for me. And now people are saying, well, he sees JBS behind every stone. Because they are behind every stone. Even your boy Robert F. Kennedy. People sit here and talk about Robert F. Kennedy. Robert F. Kennedy, he tried to get his father to bribe the John Birch Society so he could be the #1 attorney for the John Birch Society. And even his dad couldn't pull that off. Robert F. Kennedy's son, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., his godfather was McCarthy, the head of the John Birch Society. And I challenged somebody to come on this show and said, that nigga was lying to you. Because I ain't going to lie to you. And yet you got black folks in their homes to this day, especially in the South. They got the KKK on their wall. John F. Kennedy, Martin Luther King, and Robert F. Kennedy.
Damn.
Who these folks really are.
That's
Wow.
literally KKK.
It was Robert F. Kennedy who ordered the FBI to monitor and spy on King. He was the Attorney General of the United States.
Right.
And they put
And all this crap about Martin Luther King Jr. being a communist. Guess who paid for those billboard signs?
John Birch.
There you go. And guess who called Barack Hussein Obama a Muslim?
John Birch.
But let me just refresh your memory. Is Donald Trump not a birther?
He is.
He's a birther.
And did he not give a lot of money to the birther movement?
Yep.
And what does the birther movement say about Barack Hussein Obama?
Muslim usurper.
Yeah.
And not a U.S. citizen.
Oh yeah.
That's where the term birther. Now, mind you, I guess they must have known this shit back in 1950s, because Barack Hussein Obama was born in Hawaii, and not one, but 2 newspapers published his birth. Because back in those days, people used to do that shit. You got married, you died, you had a wedding, you farted. They used to put that crap in the social media.
Right.
There are not one, but 2 newspapers printed from the back when Obama was born, announcing his birth. How much more do you need to know?
Well,
Anybody, if they got the brains of an earthworm and research that, just Google newspaper announces Barack's birth.
dang.
And yet Trump, even during the election, still said, well, I'm not really sure.
Right.
Okay? All right, so I say this to you because back in the 50s, up until 1989, it was communism.
Yes.
All they did was replace Muslim with communism. Because the military, this industrial congressional complex has to have a boogeyman to keep those guys making billions of dollars.
Yes,
Yep.
sir.
Yep.
So they're running out of enemies around the world, so who's going to become the enemy?
This imaginary spook guy that could strike.
I'm going to ask you this question again. They're running out of enemies around the world, so who's going to become the enemy?
It'd be us.
There you go. Now you're starting to be seeing the big picture. And that's why the fastest growing industry in this country right now is the private prison industrial complex.
Mm. Yep.
Putting little juveniles in jail for stuff they get detention for. Judge is making money as a stockholder in organizations like CCI, correctional, what they call them, like all these different institutions. Oh, by the way, even Hillary Clinton is invested in private prison industry, if you didn't know that.
No. That's double dipping.
And when you see
makes
this white woman sticking her fingers in Barack Hussein Obama's face in Arizona because she's the governor of Arizona, and they want to pass this state bill, they're not passing this state bill because they want to prove somebody's citizenship. They want to pass that state bill because they know under that bill, more people now can legally be arrested and go to prison because even that governor was making money invested in the private prison industry in Arizona.
Yep.
That's what's going on in this country.
Even if they just
you got people right now getting arrested in California, and when they get convicted, they're spending their time in some prison in Alabama or Mississippi.
No way.
Mm-hmm.
How the hell is you as a family member visit your family member when they're in a prison 12 states across?
Yeah, you can't. Typically.
How do you meet with your attorney on a regular basis if you want to try to file an appeal? That's what's going on in this country.
Never thought about
They're
that.
They're going to lock you up because there ain't no jobs, brother. Now, since I talked to you last, while Trump is patting himself on the back because of Walmart giving out bonuses, does Walmart own Sam Club?
Yes, sir.
And what happened to Sam Club?
Sorry, Charlie, but we're closing our doors.
That's right.
Since I talked to you last, Kimberly Clark has announced they're going to, I like the way they use that term layoff, because layoff implies temporary. There ain't nothing temporary about this layoff. 5,000 employees. Do you know who Kimberly Clark is?
Yeah, they make the toilet paper and the dispensers and the bathrooms and stuff.
Also make diapers. In fact, they're saying because less babies are being born in the U.S. today, their sales are down. Anyway, Kimberly Clark, I loved it though, because the CEO, when he talked to the investors, he actually came out and said they're going to start changing their factories.
Oh, there you go.
Infrastructure, got to retool. Guess where the money came from for them to rebuild their factories?
Where?
From the Republican tax cut that Donald Trump signed.
No way.
So while you're being told the same crap about Ronald Reagan's trickle-down economics, which of course George Herbert Walker Bush called voodoo economics, because like I told you on the last show, Bush is not a conservative, never was, never will be. And the Reagans and Bushes don't really get along. But I was close to Daddy Bush, so all full disclosures, I was closer to Daddy Bush than any other president in the White House. So I'm just gonna, but I still ain't gonna lie for him.
Right.
He was in Dallas on 22 November 1963. In fact, he's the one that gave Hoover the name Lee Harvey Oswald. But I digress. Wow. So my point to you is this: when you look at this tax bill, once again using the same crap that Reagan said, if you let the wealthy get a tax break, more people will get hired. Wrong. What's the number one reason for you as an employer to hire somebody?
Demand. Demand for products goes up.
There you go. What these folks are taking that money and doing, they're going to reinvest. By the way, just this week, do you know one of the biggest employers in China, one that pays their workers so little, one that treats their workers so badly, they had to build walls to stop the employees from committing suicide. This company just announced they're going to lay off 80% of their workers to be replaced by AI.
Apple?
Now, it's been estimated that in the next 5 years, 80 million United States citizens will have been replaced by robotics or artificial intelligence. If China, where these rich corporate fascists are sending their jobs to so they don't have to pay us a salary, if China is replacing their employees with robotics and AI, do you really believe when Trump says jobs are coming back here? You know what those jobs mean? The company's going to come back here They're going to temporarily employ people to build the factory.
Mm-hmm.
And once that factory is built, it's going to be made of robotics and artificial intelligence.
Mm-hmm. Automation will be coming.
It is coming. It's here. It's here. You know, go to your local
That's why
Walmart.
McDonald's uses this crappy term, oh, well, if you're going to raise minimum wage, then we'll just replace you with robots. Those robots have been waiting because Japan's been using them in McDonald's over there for 5 years.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So they're just
Now,
looking
I'm
for
from South
excuse.
Carolina. Now, you guys are back there in the Midwest. Have you ever heard of Hardee's?
Yes.
Yep. If you go farther west, they call it Carl's
I always see
Jr.
Hardee's on commercials out here when there's a football game and there's some team on the Southeast playing. But see, in South Carolina, we had Hardee's. On you now.
Is it Carl
Out
Jr.'s?
here, you have Carl's Jr.
Yep.
Well, the guy who helped steal the corporation from the original owner, and I can't get into it, but I'll just say I'm very familiar with the Karcher family. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
In fact, I just say this today. Yesterday was the birthday of Anastasia Ashley. I know you guys never heard her name. Anastasia Ashley became famous because she's one of these white female surfers who does a twerking video. Video went viral. I mean, millions upon millions. Well, guess who she's standing next to while she's doing that twerking?
No. Yours truly.
There you go.
Can you get her on the
So
show?
that's the I'm sorry?
Can you get her on the
Anastasia?
show? Yeah, can you get her on the show?
Oh, Anastasia, I'm not going to speak for Anastasia. She has no problem. What I'll just say is this. Carl's Jr. used to use Paris Hilton in their commercials.
I remember that burger commercial.
Well, Anastasia replaced Paris Hilton in the Carl's Jr. commercial. So anyway, out here we have Carl's Jr. Well, the guys who stole the corporation from Carl Karcher. Remember, I'm here in Orange County, so trust me, I'm not being facetious when I say I'm very familiar with the Karcher family. The guy who represented, that's who Trump wanted to appoint until they came out with all this stuff about how he said they were going to get rid of all the damn humans and just replace them with robots. See, he was planning on doing that long before.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying?
Yep.
Not to mention the fact he was, while they're talking illegal immigrants, he had illegal immigrants working for him and stuff like that. And there's some other stuff about him that I'm not even going to go into, but I'm just saying the guy is dirty. So Trump had to pick somebody else. Now, this week, if you're not aware of it, how many Negroes are in Trump's cabinet?
Oh shit! Hold on. 0.
+1.
What, is this a janitor?
Oh, Uncle Ben Carson.
Oh,
yeah,
I forgot
I
about Ben
Gosh,
Carson.
yes, I forget about
Good
him.
grief.
Oh,
Of course you forgot about him, because that's his job, to keep his nigger ass hiding out of sight. However, you do realize he's under investigation right now, right?
For what?
Because just like Trump and everybody else, see, the problem we as colored folks, we start thinking we're white. And you can't act and do the things white folks do.
No.
You better
Now
not.
he's under investigation for using his position
Sex.
so that his son could get federal contracts.
Oh shit.
What, to turn down
Didn't know
public
that, did
housing?
you?
No, that's like inside.
I'm sorry, you
training.
didn't know that, did you?
No, sir. Did not know it.
Because you're being distracted with the tweet that you're not hearing things like what I just told you. Let me tell you something else you haven't heard. You're familiar with the NRA,
Yep.
National Rifle Association. Now, the first time since you guys didn't even bother introducing me to your guest today, I'm both a FBI certified and NRA certified range master, okay? I was a member of the NRA. I quit the NRA back in 1990, I think it was 94. Daddy Bush quit the same year I did. In fact, we both quit about the same time. Now, I didn't talk to him about this, but it turns out we both quit for the same reasons. Up until the early 90s, the NRA used to be a gun, firearms safety organization, teaching people how to properly use a weapon not to get hurt.
Right.
By the early 1990s, with all the deregulation going on, and with Newt Gingrich, who became
The speaker.
a congressman out of Georgia, thanks to the head of the John Birch Society mysteriously disappearing and supposedly dying in Korean airline 007 shot down by the Russians. but I suspect that he's actually was alive and he went over to Russia to merge the John Birch over there with the John Birch here, but that's a story for another day. But I'm just saying, Newt Gingrich and the boys, they led what was called a contract with America. Anybody who wasn't well, back then they didn't really call themselves the Tea Party back then. They were more the populists and the far right wing, the militia groups, the religious right, the evangelicals, all those folks. They hated Clinton. And those of us who didn't support them call it a contract on America. You know, so all the crap they were saying about Obama, they were basically saying about Clinton, except that he wasn't a Muslim.
Right.
About Franklin Delano Roosevelt. He's a socialist. He's a communist. And they tried to kill Franklin Delano Roosevelt because Smedley Butler stopped that coup. Clinton down. Remember, Clinton went down for Monica Lewinsky.
Yeah, he did.
After him for. They went after him because they tried to claim that he was involved with illegal land deals down in Arkansas.
Clearwater, whatever.
Get him for that. All of a sudden, the Monica Lewinsky thing came up. And see, that's because folks don't realize when you're in office, you're always surrounded by the enemy. Because I'm just going to ask you a question. Not that I'm saying that you're a woman or a 19-year-old intern. But what 19-year-old intern has oral sex with a man, and then because semen gets on her dress, she never takes the dress to the cleaners?
Yeah, yeah. But
who's going to save something like that?
No one in the right freaking mind.
Exactly. So, folks, this is how stupid Americans are. You really think it's by accident that this dress was still around so they can analyze it later on and positively prove that it was built? Come on, folks. Wake up.
I mean, come on, dude.
Okay? And wake up and find out who the hell is the woman who even brought this information to the public.
Linda Tripp.
You know, somebody who was also involved loosely with the Watergate scandal.
She was
That's politics.
Wow.
Not Monica, the woman who brought that information forward.
Wasn't it Linda Tripp?
Linda Tripp.
Yeah.
There you go. Go back and find out who the hell she is.
Wow.
And then you'll start realizing Clinton didn't even see it coming. No pun intended. So,
I wish they would have came out with the Monica and Monica.
It was just like the movie that just came out, The Post. Okay? The Post ends with about a 3-minute scene with a black security guard. Well, that black security guard was from South Carolina. If it wasn't for that black security guard, we wouldn't even know about Watergate.
Wow.
And he couldn't even get a job afterwards.
So, who was Oliver Stone?
Barack Obama. Dick Gregory is one of the people who had to hire that brother because after he brought Nixon's administration down, he got, I love those terms, he got whiteballed. Because I don't use terms like blackball.
Right.
He got whiteball and couldn't even get a job in this country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right? But I'm glad because at the end of that movie, The Post, because the Watergate really didn't have much to do with The Post. The Post was about the Vietnam papers, the Pentagon papers. But somebody chose to put those last 3 minutes in there to show this black security guard doing his job and finding, I'll tell you this, though, most folks don't know. With the Watergate scandal, they were not trying to steal documents from the safe belonging to the Democratic National Committee. What were they actually doing?
I thought they were just spying on them, just wanting to see their strategy.
If you open a safe and you ain't taking something out.
Oh, you're putting something in.
There you go. So what I'm telling you, unlike what remember, I share history, not his story. So if Nixon was the president, and somebody now is putting information in the safe that makes Nixon look bad, what does that tell you? Nixon was surrounded by enemies. Clinton was surrounded by enemies. Right. They're always surrounded by enemies. And now Trump is paranoid as hell because he knows he's surrounded by enemies because they never wanted Trump in the first place. Mm-hmm. Just like when Mitt Romney ran against Obama in 2008. They didn't vote for Romney. They voted for that racist wench Sarah Palin. Mm-hmm. In 2012, they didn't vote for, I'm sorry, I said Mitt Romney in 2008. I meant to say John McCain. In 2008, they didn't vote for John McCain. They voted for Sarah Palin. in 2012, they didn't vote for Mitt Romney. They voted for John Birch Society boy, Paul Ryan.
Mm.
And this time around, they did not vote for Donald Trump. So who did they vote for?
Pence.
And he's sitting there like
Because
a good old boy,
Pence,
too.
in my humble opinion, is the most dangerous politician in this country, second only to Ted Cruz.
And that's only because Ted Cruz
And these
is
folks have no
truly
problem getting rid of Trump, making it look like black or brown folks did it, which will start a civil war in this country, by the way. But they don't want Trump.
Mm.
They never wanted Trump. One, Trump's not a conservative. Two, Trump's not a Christian. Trump talks about illegal immigrants. Hell, his wife was working in this country illegally when she came here.
Barely talks English.
Mm-hmm. Wish you did that at
And
all.
so when anybody asks me if there's any such thing as white privilege, two of my favorite examples. One, there's no way in the world that Negro, Barack Hussein Obama, would have ever gotten elected if his wife had naked photographs on the internet when he was running for president.
Got that right.
Mm-hmm.
Two, you guys know who Bill Walton is?
Bill Walton, the basketball player?
Yeah, Bill Walton.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know he
So when
is.
people say there's no such thing as white privilege, I go, yeah, that's why Bill Walton was able to hide members of the Sudanese Liberation Army. That's why Bill Walton was able to get arrested on several occasions for protesting the Vietnam War, but it didn't affect his NBA career at all.
Mm.
Meanwhile, you got a colored boy
Kaepernick.
who takes a knee, and he can't get a job in the NFL, and the only reason he took that knee because it was on the advice of a white U.S. Army Special Forces war veteran.
Mm.
Yep.
Mm.
You didn't know that, right?
Did
Yeah,
not know that.
I knew that.
I didn't.
He had been sitting on the bench for a long time, not saying anything until some white journalist decided to put him in the public eye. So after being put in the public eye, he was actually confronted by a Special Forces combat war veteran who said, "Hey, brother, what's wrong with you, man? Why are you disrespecting? I'm not disrespecting the flag. Brother, I got relatives who are cops. I got relatives who are in the military. I love this country." So the compromise between this white Special Forces Army war veteran and Colin Kaepernick was, okay, I'll take a knee because that shows respect. And these dumbasses in this country twist that shit around to show just the opposite.
Right.
So that's how dumbed down and stupid we are.
Or
Yeah.
how
So when
disquick-
people talk about white privilege, don't tell me there's not white privilege, because you got a brother on his knee who will still show respect for this country, but is letting you know there's some things about this country that's wrong,
Mhm.
and he can't get a job in the NFL. But you got a white boy who was hiding people who were on the top 10 most wanted list of the FBI and went to jail for protesting against the Vietnam War. I was LAPD. I run LAPD sites. So I'm close to the public. Do you know I got white boys in LAPD saying, "How you think his knees are bad?" We beat the shit out of his knees with our batons when he was protesting at UCLA. They're laughing about it.
Wow.
And yet it didn't affect his NBA career. Not only didn't affect his NBA career, his son is following his footsteps.
Yep. Yep. His son's coaching.
But there's no white but there's no white privilege. Remember that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So see, so we have to know our history,
Yes.
not his story. Because if you can't come back and give examples like what I just said, white America will never hear what we're trying to tell them. Because the one thing I've learned about being about white folks all my life, you can't force feed them the truth.
No.
You have to let them believe they came up with it on their own.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the government makes us believe that
But
we
when I
can.
mention somebody like Bill Walton, even those John Birch Society LAPD cops now go, "Whoa, yeah, I remember beating that white boy's ass." So when I posted on my site about the white privilege, not one of them commented because they know I was telling the truth.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I tell you, I had another female LAPD cop, one of my former recruits, married to another one of my former recruits. She talked this crap. Well, I think people are a bunch of hypocrites. They're going to sit here now and talk about how great Hugh Hefner was, and he ran Playboy magazine. Why are they complaining about there might be some nude pictures of the First Lady? And, of course, I told her, it ain't about comparing Hugh Hefner. It's about the fact that had that been Michelle Obama, you know
Yeah.
damn well Barack Obama would have never gotten the White House.
Oh yeah,
And
that
guess what? Nobody else commented again after I made that statement because they know exactly what the hell I was saying, and they know I'm damn right.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, they had to be flawless. They couldn't do nothing.
We do have another question from
I am God. That's the
Yeah.
person that chimed in.
I am God. Would you ask Mark about common law and how we can apply it?
All right, well, that's a tough question, but I'm sorry because you did ask the question earlier. So, in that long-winded dissertation on my soapbox, I had the question asked to me in December, around October of 2016. What did I see in the future? And I told them, I said, well, if Trump gets in the White House, John Birch Society is going to be running things. And if you want an idea what it's like, get the book by Margaret Atwood, Canadian author. There was a movie that came out in the 80s with Natasha Richardson, called The Handmaid's Tale. Check this out, brothers. I wish I was making this up. Do you know, while I was on the show live with Carl Nelson telling people about The Handmaid's Tale, somebody called into the radio station. And he said, well, you don't know this, but we're getting ready to come out with a new TV series, The Handmaid's Tale. There was a guy from the production team for The Handmaid's Tale who was obviously listening to the radio show, and he called in, and sure enough, during the Super Bowl last year, guess what they advertised on the Super Bowl?
Handmaid's Tale.
The Handmaid's Tale. Guess what TV show just won, I guess, some Emmy Awards?
That show?
I don't know. Watch TV.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
So I'm just telling you, after I came on Carl's show and I mentioned The Handmaid's Tale, do you know that everybody went out and tried to buy that book? And Margaret Atwood's book sold out around the United States?
Wow. And will you tell...
So to answer the previous question from Reasonable Dude, if you want an idea, then I strongly suggest, I haven't seen the new TV series, but I strongly suggest you go back and find the movie with Robert Duvall and Natasha Richardson, The Handmaid's Tale. Because they want a theocratic government. What is Mike Pence?
He's a Christian conservative.
Yeah, the theocrat.
Evangelical. The kind of guy who says your 12-year-old daughter can get raped by 12 guys, she still will have that baby because God intended for her to be pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess God intended for them to get punished for their crimes, I hope, too.
What crime?
The
They
same
raped
to
a
you is,
girl.
under these folks,
that's not a crime.
Niggas have no rights. If you look at The Handmaid's Tale, they round up all the niggas. They round up all the feminist movement people. Anybody who's on the pill. It's like a handmaid is somebody who has the baby for you because your wife can't get pregnant.
Oh, yeah. The story in the Bible with the handmaid.
There you go.
That's
Come on, dog.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Yeah.
So what I'm trying to tell you is, before I go to the next question, up until 1978, the average evangelical in this country had nothing to do with Israel. In fact, they're, straight out anti-Semitic. That's the true term of anti-Semitic. But a little funny thing happened. I call them the kosher nostra. Because what you had in 78, as people were getting together to go up against Jimmy Carter, two significant things happened. The John Birch Society, who picked Ronald Reagan as their boy to be, they were able to merge together the evangelical movement along with the Catholic Church and the far right-wing Zionists in Israel. And that's who's been trying to take over this country now for the last 30-plus years.
They're doing a good job.
They had a lot of success. In fact, what they did in the 70s, William Casey, Knights of Malta, member of Propaganda Due, P2, Vatican Bank, he met secretly along with some other folks in Iran and they cut a deal to hold the Marines hostages so that Jimmy Carter wouldn't get reelected.
Made him look weak.
And then later on, they sold weapons to Iran, and at the same time, these are the same folks. Arlie North, by the way, he's one of them too. He's one of John Birch Society members. They were selling weapons to the Contras down in in Nicaragua, and in exchange for not having money, the Contras had to figure out where to get the money from. So you know where the money came from, right?
Cocaine.
There you go.
Get that nose right.
Even George Bush, Vietnam, he didn't show up for a physical because he was afraid of what?
Getting popped on that drug test.
There you go. Now, if you look at movies like 9/11 Fahrenheit, they don't come out and say that. All you do is hear Eric Clapton in the background playing a J.J. Cale song. She don't lie, she don't lie, she don't lie.
Cocaine.
And of course, when Dan Rather went after them, the guy who was going to testify in behalf of Dan Rather, I guess they got to him. The guy bailed on Dan Rather, so they tried to make it out like Dan Rather was putting out fake news. There ain't nothing fake about what Dan Rather was putting out. It's just that his source all of a sudden decided he was no longer going to be Dan Rather's source, and without a substantiated source was going to come out and verify it, and made the journalist look like an idiot.
Right.
But I don't feel sorry for Dan Rather, because Dan Rather is the one who lied to the American people about the Zapruder film. And until that film was released later on for court testimony, when a boy from Permadex, Guy Bannister, who had many names down in New Orleans. Anyway, when Guy Bannister was on trial after the Kennedy assassination was reopened under Jim Garrison, that's when the first time Americans saw the Zapruder film, which was locked up in a Time Life vault for years. And you realize that everything Dan Rather told you about the Zapruder film was total bullshit.
Damn.
So I don't have no. It's personal for me too, because remember, I'm a retired Marine. I get the Marine Corps boot camp. Later on, he joined the National Guard, but he goes around telling people he was a Marine. So, for me, it's personal. I don't feel sorry for Dan Rather getting manipulated the way he did in the George W. Bush scandal. But I will say, Dan Rather was not putting out fake news. It's just that the people he had as sources became cold feet and reneged on their promise to support him when he took that to the media.
Well, let's just say it like it really is. They didn't want to die. I'm sure someone came to him, hey, look, Joe, I know you see those, those grandchildren of yours. Don't you want to
You mean like that knock on my door last week while talking to you guys on the phone?
Yeah.
Anyway, so what I'm just saying to you, so for a reasonable dude, I strongly suggest you go back and I haven't seen a new TV series. In fact, maybe I'll try to get that tomorrow, because I guess by now it should be out on DVD. But I don't watch TV either. But the thing is, if you want an idea, why do you think they keep showing you all this dystopia movies? Why do you think the Hunger Games came out?
Let you know what time it is.
They're already telling you what they got planned for you. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Let's see that type of plan they talk about. I'm not cool with.
No.
Check this out. When Sarah Palin ran for president, okay? Sarah Palin belongs to one of those evangelical churches where they've already divided up the United States, just like in The Handmaid's Tale. Seriously.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Now, have you guys ever heard of the Alaska Independence Party?
No, I haven't heard of them.
Okay, their name is funny because you would think their initials would be AIP, but it's actually AK as in King IP. Well, Sarah Palin, her husband, remembers. They don't support the United States.
They want to succeed.
They want to be separate. Not only that, let me tell you, the founding member of the AKIP hated the United States so much that when he died, he was buried in Canada because he doesn't want to be buried under a U.S. flag.
That's just...
So what I'm telling you, when you look at these Tea Party folks that call themselves patriots, they're not patriots. They're just like the Civil War. Or, I'm sorry, I'm from Charleston, South Carolina, so we call it the War of Northern Aggression.
Yeah.
They hate the United States federal government. And they're going to do everything to destroy the United States federal government. So I'm going to give you folks a name before I go to the next question. I'm not being know-it-all here, omniscient. I'm not being facetious. I'm not being a jerk when I say this to you, but I know you don't know this name. Have you ever heard the name Alexander Dugin?
No.
There you go.
Dugan.
And it's not spelled the way you think because he's Russian. So it's spelled Aleskandr. Dugan. D as in dog, U, G as in golf, I, N as in Nancy.
Got it.
I already told you. Mike Pence is the most dangerous guy in this country, second only to Ted Cruz. Alexander Dugin is the most dangerous guy in Russia. Guess who's doing all the backdoor deals behind the scenes for Putin?
Not this Alexander character.
Guess who's in bed with the John Birch Society and Alex Jones here in the United States?
Oh boy, seems like it always goes.
You
back
guys
to
have
that.
no idea what's getting ready to come down in this country. And he's an extreme far-right neo-Nazi populist nationalist.
Who?
So when I mentioned earlier about Lee Harvey Oswald,
Alexander
Lee Harvey
Dugin.
Oswald was handled by what was called the White Russians. The White Russians today are organizations that came out of what was called the World Anti-Communist League,
Which were Nazis.
also Western Goals Foundation. Western Goals Foundation was headed by none other than McDonald. And you're like, who the hell's McDonald? McDonald was the head of the John Birch Society who supposedly got shot down on Korean airline flight 007. That's how Newt Gingrich got in, John Birch Society.
Damn.
They're running things, folks. They have taken over the United States like you cannot imagine. And when you see folks now going in and saying they're not going to run for re-election, you notice how many Republicans are announcing they're not running for
It's
re-election?
a lot of them too.
This would be the perfect time for them to run for re-election because they're running things.
Yeah.
They are not part of this far right-wing takeover of the United States. And that's why I say once again, I pray for the Pope. Because the Pope did something that hasn't been done in over 200 years. He made the head of the Sovereign Military Order of Malta, Knights of Malta, resign. And those folks want to start an all-out war in Israel to bring about the World War.
Wow.
Because they really believe an all-out war, caliphate, will bring back the return of Jesus Christ. And they don't care that Donald Trump is a heathen. They don't care that his wife has naked photographs on the internet, even with other women, because that's God's instrument that's being used to put us in the power so that we can run things.
Wow. What a nice way to
Because
call
see,
him.
Ronald Reagan was forced to put George Bush on the ticket, George Herbert Walker Bush on the ticket.
Right.
Now, of course, George Bush's son, he pretended to be a born-again Christian. That's how he got support of the evangelicals to run. Bush couldn't win. Now, folks, remember I said earlier how they wanted Trump to be president? That's why they picked Hillary?
Right.
Well, the Democrats wanted George W. Bush to be president in 2000. Why would I say that?
Bob Dole.
No. 2000. Who ran against George W. Bush
Al
in
Gore.
2000 for president?
Yeah, it was Al Gore,
It
wasn't
was Al Gore.
Okay, but who was his running mate?
Oh, shit.
Joe Lieberman.
And what is Joe Lieberman?
He's a Jew.
You think that these racist anti-Semites going to let some Jew be the number 2 man in the U.S. government?
Yeah.
Al Gore could not even win his own state, Tennessee. You know why? Guess where the Ku Klux Klan was founded?
Tennessee.
Pulaski, Tennessee.
4 guys in a bar.
So the point is, just like in 2016, where the Democratic Party put up the worst candidate possible, and she still beat Donald Trump. In 2000, the Democratic Party put up the worst candidate possible, and he still beat George W. Bush.
Yes.
So once again, they had to rig the Electoral College and get the Supreme Court to make him president. None of it, which by the way is in the U.S. Constitution.
Well, when you have power, that's just a piece of paper.
You know it. You ready for another question?
So what you're going to have in the future is, most likely, the true dictator will be in the White House in 2020.
Wow.
And I'll just say this, don't think it's going to be a Republican. So to answer, I am God. When it comes to common law, I'm sorry, but that question is vague and ambiguous, and I don't know if that person is referring to a wife or referring to criminal law. What I will say to you is in 1992, under urban renewal, Negro removal, you guys call it gentrification, we had civil unrest across the United States and Canada. What was the true purpose of that civil unrest? I'll make it simple for you. You show me the fire patterns in L.A. during the riots, and I'll show you where the Metro Rail system is today.
Yes, that's what that was about.
Exactly. So while you think you're fighting the system, you're doing exactly what you want. So now let's fast forward. What happened in St. Louis County that has now put St. Louis and Ferguson on the map?
Well, wasn't the black folks getting elected to the board of aldermen out there or whatever?
How did that all come about?
Black Lives Matter energized the vote to actually get up and go and vote.
Because of what happened there that brought all that about?
The riots.
Rioting about what? Dude, you know, like pulling teeth out of you, man.
Rioting about police brutality and just basically.
Specifically what?
Oh, Michael Brown's death.
And what's my name?
Michael Brown.
Yeah, in fact, 3 days before that happened, I was on a pier down here in Huntington Beach with my hands up saying, "Don't shoot."
Oh,
Somebody took a photograph and later on posted, so I was so happy because I actually told people, here, my name is Michael Brown, and I'm on a pier at the largest surf contest on the planet, and 3 days before that shooting in Ferguson, I'm on the pier and somebody took a photograph of me saying, "Hands up, don't shoot."
Wow.
Now, you do realize that 18 of the 24 witnesses said that Michael Brown had his hands up, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
But that's not what you're being told.
No.
You're familiar with witness number 40, right?
No, who's that?
You know, with the Mike Brown, it took like a couple of years after this all went down for somebody to even come out and show the footage from the night before. And what had happened was the night before Mike Brown was killed, him and his little partner went in that store and sold weed to three younger guys, and they gave him a whole case of blunts. And he was about to walk out the store, and he came back and gave them back the blunts. And they said some words, but you couldn't hear what the words were. And one of the guys that worked in the store took the blunts and put them up under the counter. But Michael Brown had gave them some weed, and it's all on tape. The guys, they smelling the weed and all this other stuff.
And that's why when the cops came to the store, the owner of the store refused to press charges against Michael Brown.
Yeah. And that's why they only released still pictures.
But my point to you is witness number 40. All this crap you hear, how they say Black Lives Matter started on a fraudulent theme because it has nothing to do with no hands up. That never happened. This goes deeper than that video, dog. When you talk about Black Lives Matter, you got right-wing radio telling you that Black Lives Matter won when you got house niggers like former sheriff
Henry Clark,
Milwaukee County, telling you that Black Lives Matter should be put on the same level as ISIS, as a domestic terrorist group, okay? And they're using terms like black identity extremists. Yes. But meanwhile, right-wing media, which is basically controlling all media now in the public as far as politics go, I'm here in L.A. area, okay? L.A. is second only to New York for the most media. And there's not one single AM radio station that talks politics that's not right-wing.
Wow.
Okay, so if that's like this in L.A., I can only imagine it was like in Utah, Missouri, Alabama, South Carolina, and all over. Hell, Washington, D.C., except for Carl Nelson on WOL 1450, there is no other AM station in the Washington, D.C. area that's not right-wing. And what they're telling you on right-wing radio, Black Lives Matter is a fraud because it's all based on Michael Brown having his hands up, and that never happened. That's what they're being told. I just told you 18 out of 24 witnesses said it did happen.
Right.
And when I ask you who the hell witness number 40 is, you're like, you don't know. Well, everybody in right-wing radio have been programmed to hear nothing but the testimony of witness number 40. By the way, and I'm sure some of you guys got access to a computer there, number 40 Ferguson, and see what you come up with. You got a white woman who's a self-admitted racist, periodical mental patient, and who was not even at the scene when the shooting happened. And it's her testimony they keep repeating over and over again. 24, who said he had his hands up, the prosecutor refused to use any of their testimony. Meanwhile, you got this white boy who got $500,000 minimum. White folks around the country so proud of him for killing us the nigger.
Right.
Married and lives in obscurity now.
Yeah.
Not to mention the fact he'd already been fired from another police department for racism.
Jennings.
Yep.
This is a
Thank
mess.
you. This goes a lot deeper than this whole thing about the elected. Black Lives Matter is under attack, and yet to this have not found any evidence of one single cop that was killed by somebody directly related to Black Lives Matter.
No, you haven't.
Told.
Yep.
Uh-oh.
Now, you've had several cops killed in recent weeks, but you don't hear about it because guess who's killing them?
Probably, white folks.
White sovereign citizens who hate the U.S. federal government.
Oh, the Bundy crowd.
The Bundy crowd when they were on trial.
Weren't
And
they-
I'm thinking to them, and now, because in the White House, they all got exonerated.
Yeah.
See, the whole thing about Bundy was intended to set up Obama administration like Randy Weaver. Because that happened in the Clinton administration.
I remember her.
So Obama was caught between a rock and a hard place. Crack down on these white boys for pointing guns at federal agents and have a shootout that men have killed some of these white boys and make them martyrs like Randy Weaver.
Yep.
Them get away with it. Then they go up there to the Native American land and started some crap too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Up there in
Living on federal land. And now with Trump in the White House, guess what he plans on doing with all that federal land?
Gonna sell it.
Giving it out to all his buddies that supported him during the campaign.
Wow.
A lot of that federal land includes Native American sacred burial grounds. This goes a lot deeper, guys. So when you look at DACA, I know I'm being a little facetious and flippant when I say it, but I tell you, look, man, Native American is a term used here. There was no U.S.-Mexico border.
Right.
You couldn't tell the difference between a Native American in Baja and a Native American up here in damn San Jose. Treaties between the U.S. and Native Americans has the U.S. honored.
Not one.
They ain't got no plans on either.
So why would they believe DACA?
Right.
Why would they believe DACA?
Because people want to believe.
If they wanted to
Because they brought in a house Negro like Obama who says, you can trust me.
Right.
Give me your name. Give me your address. Give me your phone number and your social security number and where you work or where you go to school. And I'm going to make you a dreamer. Now who's going to use that list to round them all up?
Trump. President
There you
Trump.
go. And it took a house Negro to get that done.
So
Meanwhile, while Barack Hussein Obama was in the White House, he had a black attorney general. He's a black president. Name me one white cop who killed a black person who got indicted by the federal government that did any time under Obama.
None of them, but he sung Amazing Grace.
Exactly. Meanwhile, you got a white president, William Jefferson Clinton. You got a white attorney general, Janet Reno. And you got 4 white boys here in L.A. who went to prison who didn't even kill anybody. All they did was beat Rodney King.
Yeah.
That's why they put black folks in those positions. You go to a nightclub. White boy gonna tell a white girl one time, don't do that again. Next thing you know, white girl get knocked on her ass. Just like this guy who just resigned from the Trump administration for beating both his wives and a girlfriend.
Rob Porter?
So the FBI told the Trump administration more than 6 months ago that they had him under investigation already for domestic violence. And now you're going to have a retired Marine Corps General Kelly talk about, well, we weren't aware. That's a bunch of bullshit.
Oh, they knew.
Because they don't care. No, because they don't care about their women.
Right.
Remember, a 12-year-old girl can get raped by 12 guys, but God wanted her to be pregnant. Okay? What I'm saying to you is, when you look at the filthiness and ugliness of these folks and how they treat their own, especially their women. Now, you take a Clyde Bundy. Let me tell you how deep this is. Where is Mike Pence from?
Indiana.
All right. You do know that Indiana passed a law saying that if you believe the cops have violated your civil rights, oh no, they don't use the term civil rights because that refers to black folks, your constitutional rights, you can shoot the cop. Are you aware of that?
No.
You better not try that around here in Missouri.
And guess who passed that law? The Oath Keepers. They were the lobbyist group that got Pence to sign that law. Who founded the Oath Keepers? A high-ranking member of, wait for it, what organization?
John Birch Society.
There you go. You starting to see the big picture here?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Now, that same high-ranking member from the John Birch Society got that law passed in Indiana, and I'm going to come back to that. He went on Coast to Coast AM 2 years ago and said, we're going to start using the document from dictatorship to democracy here in the U.S. Now, just a little over a week ago, the guy who wrote that document died. Didn't get much press media. That's the document they use in Syria, Egypt, and all these other countries to start civil wars. So what the hell do you think's coming down here?
A civil fucking war.
In fact, over there they call it the Arab Spring. What did they call it during the Democratic convention here when the Progressive Party with Bernie Sanders and they were told to fuck off by the Democrats here? It was called a Democracy Spring. And people here are so stupid they don't even realize, just like the population was manipulated in Syria, Egypt, and around the world with major demonstrations and civil war, it's happening here now. The same guy who lobbied and got that law passed in Indiana to kill cops was the same guy who went on Coast to Coast AM bragging that they were going to use from dictatorship. By the way, Gene Sharp is the guy who died. He's the one that wrote it. Why am I saying this to you? Let's go back to Clive and Bundy. Now you got this white couple. Guess what state they're from?
You're talking about the Bundys, right?
No, Nevada.
Not the Bundys. At the Bundy Ranch, there was a white couple. Where's Mike Pence from?
Indiana.
Guess where this white couple was from?
Indiana as well.
After that standoff with the federal government where Obama punked out and didn't do a damn thing, this white couple went into Las Vegas.
Oh, I remember.
Two white cops were eating lunch, minding their own business, just eating lunch. This husband and wife shot and killed them, and then drew swastikas and then put a swastika flag over their bodies and said, the revolution has begun. And for all these folks out who talk this crap, well, you know, if Good Samaritans were there, they could have stopped that. They also killed a Good Samaritan who ran up and tried to help because he was armed, since in Nevada you can carry a gun. They killed him too. Then when other cops responded, he got shot and killed. She committed suicide. I'm sure you guys heard the story, right?
Yeah, I heard about that story. I just kind of forgot about it, but yeah, I heard about it.
You kind of forget about it. Guess what? It's been going on ever since.
It has.
And they're fucking heroes because under Donald Trump they got exonerated.
Right.
Meanwhile, you got this racist John Birch Society bastard who's the sheriff down there in Arizona. He gets convicted by the federal government. What does Donald Trump do for him?
Pardons him. That Joe guy.
Yep.
And now what is he doing?
Isn't he running for office or some shit?
There you go. A convicted felon running for office. Look around the country right now. You got several convicted felons in the Republican Party who are running for office. You even have a guy right now who's a Nazi Holocaust denier running for president in the Republican Party. This is why these other Republicans are resigning. Because they got dirt on them. They want them out, and they're putting all their people in. Meanwhile, they stopped Obama from appointing his federal judge. Who's appointed more judges than anybody else in the last 50 years?
Trump.
Donald Trump.
And what kind of people is he appointing?
The wrong kind. He's
And
basically
how long will they be on the bench?
For life.
There you go.
40 more years of fun.
Meanwhile, in organizations like the U.S. Navy, any admiral that's not going along with them, there'll be some little mishap involving a ship. They don't just go after the crew; they go after the admiral of the fleet and force him to retire. They're purging, guys. They're doing the purge.
Yeah.
Yes. And then they're going to replace with their
Have
new
you ever
people.
seen any of those movies, The Purge?
Yeah.
I've heard of that.
I've seen them. I've seen a few of them.
Who ever said he ain't seen any of the Purge movies?
Oh, you kind of broke up. You kind of broke up there. What'd you say again?
Who has seen the Purge movies?
Yeah, I seen a few of them.
Are those movies not showing you a theocracy?
Yeah.
They always come up and tell you what they're doing, brother. They even told you the name of it. They are going to purge. You don't go along with them, you're going down. And that's what they're doing right now. First thing you got to do is convince everybody that the government is all corrupt. The second thing you do is go after the media. The media is nothing but fake news. And third, you go after every alphabet agency and you don't believe anything they're doing.
Yeah.
Now, what has Trump and his administration done for the last year?
Calling all fake news.
Yeah.
And going after anybody who comes out against them.
Yes, sir.
Yep. And I got
And people are resigning left and right.
Yep. I got a question from Platino Rico 86. It's about Bernie Sanders. Why does the media ignore him purposely, and why doesn't Trump attack him? Does he know how Bernie is the most powerful politician in the country, and will he run in 26? And then they also want you to talk about the U.S. general that was in prison at Gitmo for disobeying Trump's orders that got no media attention.
Okay. And this is how you've been manipulated. You think Bernie Sanders give a shit about you?
He don't.
No. He's spewing that Russia crap,
when
too.
When Bernie Sanders was younger, if I had to choose between Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton, who would I vote for?
Bernie Sanders.
Why?
Because he's just not as scummy as she is.
Because he was out there on the front line with black folks fighting for the civil rights movement, while Hillary Clinton was a Barry Goldwater girl.
Yep.
However, Bernie Sanders has been compromised like the rest of them.
Yep.
Do you know where he gets most of his money from?
Where?
The gun lobby group.
Really?
Excuse me. Let me refresh your memory. Did we not have a Revolutionary War?
Yes.
Where did most of that fighting go on?
The northeastern part of the nation at that time. Like
New England.
Yes.
New England. In fact, going back to what I was saying earlier, the wealthy folks who were in this country, if you want to consider them wealthy, when the Revolutionary War started, what did they do?
I thought they went with the crown. They got and chose England.
Back to England, or they fled to Canada. So when I'm telling you, so when people say that about how rich George Washington was more like an upper middle class guy during that time period, if you look at it by today's standards.
Yeah. He wasn't.
But that just tells you how poor. That just tells you how poor everybody else was. Like, wow, look at, it's like the Catholics. Wow, look at Kennedy. Kennedy's wealth ain't shit compared to these other people, man. But anyway, so what I'm just saying to you is, Bernie Sanders comes from New England. Where do you think most of the gun manufacturers in this country are located?
New England.
Where the hell is Colt located?
New England.
One of them New England states.
Colt.
Colt 45, the revolver.
Yeah.
All those gun manufacturers come from New England, man. And then when you look at the Sandy Hook shooting, you know, the one that
Alex Jones says is fake.
Alex Jones and others say never happened or was staged and all this other crap. Do you realize that was less than 1,000 yards from the second largest gun lobbyist group in the United States?
No.
On the other side of the freeway. You guys got homework. Seriously, no, I'm serious. I'm not making this up.
Mm.
Because people sit here and think that, wow, New England. See, when they think guns, they always think the South.
Yes.
No. No, these guys. In fact, Colt is one of the biggest employers in what state? Where's Colt located?
The New England state?
Colt Industries.
Coke Industries,
M16,
Kansas.
you know?
Kansas.
Hell no.
You told
Is
the
Kansas in New England?
no. I thought you talking about like the Koch brothers.
No, he's
I
talking
said
about
Colt.
Colt.
Charles,
Colt.
Ocean, Lincoln, Tom. Guns.
Okay.
I just said
Colt.
M16. They make the M16. Where is Colt located?
Oh, I have no idea.
Well, let me just give you a hint. I like the way they work both ends. Colt is located in Connecticut, and the other industry is Hartford Insurance in Connecticut. After they shoot your ass, they'll come insure your ass. I'm not making this stuff up. That's where your gun manufacturers came from. They came from the Northeast, New England. They may have migrated to the South.
Right.
They may have headed out west later on, but during the Revolutionary War, most of that war was fought up north.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I say this to you only because when the caller called in or your listener asked about a general at Gitmo, and I'm sorry, what was the first question?
About
First half of that question.
the first half of it was about Bernie Sanders and why Trump doesn't.
Okay, so when you talk about Bernie Sanders, first of all, is an old white man. Why are people still looking for old white men to lead this country?
Right.
Do you know why Hillary Clinton is in so much hot water with these folks on her emails?
Why?
Because she's an old white woman and she doesn't even understand how to use an iPhone, an iPad, a smartphone. So a lot of stuff she was doing, she wasn't doing it out of criminal intent. She was doing it out of ignorance.
Gotcha.
And I always told people they're not going to go after Hillary. Why won't they go after Hillary? Because most of Congress is old white men. You think they're not guilty of the same damn thing? You open up that damn Pandora's box and you're going to find out everybody on Capitol Hill has probably made their iPhones, iPads, smartphones susceptible to some damn hacker.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But that stuff wasn't. I think that stuff was leaked. I don't think nobody hacked into it.
Excuse me. No. Who was Hillary Clinton's number one right-hand woman?
Uma
No
Abedin.
pun intended. I'm sorry, who?
It was Uma Abedin.
Who's her husband?
Anthony Weiner.
And what was he doing? No pun intended with that last name. What was he doing?
He was texting dick pics.
It's Wiener.
Okay. And who runs those kind of websites?
Oh, the Russian porno industry.
And Uma, by accident, downloaded Hillary's files on his iPhone.
Oh, shit.
And on his laptop.
You starting to see the big picture here,
Yeah.
folks?
That's how they gained access.
Mm-hmm.
Go. And so the Russians went to the Trump campaign staff and said, hey, boys, we got some dirt here on your girl Hillary.
Mm.
Because on a Russian porn site, and then dumbass Anthony Weiner, because that wasn't his first rodeo,
No.
he's taking photographs of himself with the baby on the bed with him.
Mm.
Now they can get him for endangering a minor. And have you guys seen or heard anything from Umar lately?
No.
Because this was the deal. We will take your child away for child endangerment because of what he did, or you shut up and go away quietly.
Mm. Zip the lip.
Well, that's not a hard decision to make.
You got porn sites run by Russians, and then all of a sudden they hack into just another phone, but they're like, what the hell is this?
Mm.
Hey, Boris, look at this.
Yeah. Oh, these are plans. Secrets.
And then you got 50,000 emails from Hillary Clinton. So here's the problem, guys. Who investigates a crime like that?
Probably the Department of Justice.
Well,
And what agency under the Department of Justice investigates that?
the FBI.
Yeah, domestic.
So that means, and who was the director at the time?
Comey, was he?
The director of the FBI at the
So
time.
that means that the FBI was aware of all of this all along, up until the time that they thought Hillary was going to win.
Mm-hmm.
And they were afraid that if something came out about this and Comey didn't release that information, Comey would go down. Because Comey is a Republican. So how does Comey try to sabotage the election so that Donald Trump wins? Less than a week before voting, he announces that they're reopening the Hillary Clinton investigation.
Mm.
So I got a question.
That cost Hillary Clinton enough votes that Donald Trump ended up getting the court of public opinion right before the election.
So
What's your
you
question, sir?
so you think so Steph Rich? I kind of think
Go
that
ahead.
Steph Rich is the one that released the DNC emails. Now I don't know about the Podesta emails, and I know that the NSA probably had the 30,000 emails that was so-called missing.
Okay,
from him.
that's all well and good, but that's not what these folks are going after. They're going after FISA warrant crap.
Right.
You got a guy who was under FISA warrant surveillance since 2014. Did Donald Trump announce his campaign back then?
No.
But now this guy in 2016, Carter Page, becomes a staff member on the Trump campaign. I'm talking to you on the phone right now. I don't know what the hell you guys are into, but let's say you guys are moving some major damn blow back there in the Midwest.
Right.
Now you call me on the phone. If you're under surveillance by the feds, who also now becomes under surveillance?
You, sir.
You.
So if Carter Page was already under surveillance since 2014 for his ties to Russia, and now he's with the Trump campaign, who comes under surveillance?
Trump campaign.
There you go.
Yeah, it's just like
And
the
now
fifth waiver.
folks are sweating because you got guys like Michael Flynn, who's already cut a deal. You got guys like Papandreou, who's already pled guilty to some other lesser charge. And now you got people in the Trump campaign who are sweating. Let me just tell you how words are used. What did Donald Trump say the other day? I will even talk to them under oath.
Mm.
Remember he said that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you get interviewed by the FBI, you're not under oath. So for even Donald Trump to say that, what is he already letting you know?
There's going to be a congressional hearing on the matter.
Fuck an executive. Oh, dude, is Congress handling this investigation?
Nope.
No.
Okay, I'm going to ask you again. If he's already using the term under oath, what does that mean?
You can get up there.
They are about to indict his ass.
Mm.
And so before all that comes down and other people get indicted, you got to poison the well of public opinion by having this sellout Nunez here in California put out a memo that don't tell you squat, but it paints the picture to all the people who worship Donald Trump that they're all being set up by a corrupt federal government.
That goes back to what you were talking about, the purging deal. We already believe the government's
That's
corrupt.
what they're doing. And so what did you see? Another guy who's a high-ranking member within the DOJ just resigned.
I got
Today, well, no, not today, but there's even another guy who was supposedly involved with getting the FISA warrant just resigned. They're purging like you can't imagine.
I got one more.
See, Trump ran a corporation where he never had people argue with him in a boardroom. It's my way or the highway.
Right.
And that's what they're doing. But I'm sorry. Go ahead, brother.
I got one more question. This one's from.
Well, you said you have another question, but I haven't finished 86's second question.
Oh, okay. Go ahead then.
See, this is how I always get off course, and then later on I feel bad for the listeners. So, Guantanamo Bay. Do you even know how we got Guantanamo Bay?
No. I mean,
Fake a terrorist attack by Spaniards on a U.S. Navy ship, and they used that to justify the Spanish-American War. Now, this ship blew up down there in Cuba. Some folks claim that the U.S. blew it up itself. I don't believe that. I think the problem was we were going from wood burning stove that powered ships to steam engines, and this ship blew up on its own because of, it was an accident.
Right.
Regardless, the explosion of the USS Maine was used to say, look what them goddamn Cubans did to us.
Yep.
All right. All the years that Guantanamo Bay has been occupied by the way, we didn't just stop in Cuba. We also took over the Philippines and other places. And when you look at Guantanamo Bay, as we call it, Gitmo, like I still have my orders. I got orders to Gitmo 24 hours after we invaded Grenada. But as always, somebody mysteriously canceled them the next day. But anyway, so, and if you want an idea of what Gitmo's like, just look at the movie A Few Good Men with Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, I've seen
You
that.
can't handle the truth. That's Gitmo. Now, Fidel Castro, whose son, by the way, died this week. Most people didn't even know he had a son. Fidel Castro never accepted any of the money that the U.S. paid for that land, because by accepting the money, you're recognizing the U.S. having a right to be there.
Right.
Who works on that base?
U.S. military personnel.
And who else?
Probably civilian contractors as well.
When you go to any base, who do you have working on a base right here in this country?
Civil,
Bases are usually the number one employer for the damn community, guys.
Yes.
Come on.
Oh, it's gonna be the people.
So I'm gonna ask you again: who works on that base?
Cubans.
There you go. And people don't even talk about that. Cubans go on and off that base every day.
Man, I didn't
It's a
even
game
think
they play,
about that.
dog. In fact, there was a movie with Martin. Oh, what's Martin's name? The one that was, on a TV show, but he couldn't handle himself around the one sister, and before the show ended, they would film it separately so he wouldn't get in trouble for sexual harassment.
Yeah, Martin Lawrence.
I'm sorry?
It was Martin Lawrence.
Right. Now, didn't Martin Lawrence play in a cop movie where he and Jamie Lee Foxx or somebody was down in Cuba, and then the movie starts off with them at a Klan rally?
Wasn't that with Will Smith, Bad Boys?
Right. Remember in Bad Boys, later on, where do they end up?
Yeah. I think that what that Bad Boys.
Gitmo.
Yeah.
Yeah, what that Bad Boys 2?
I guess. But I'm just saying, they always show you this shit in the movies.
And that's what fucks me
So
up.
what I'm just telling you about Gitmo, what happens at Gitmo, you got a general, white boy no less, brigadier general, who's just trying to do his job. And what he discovers as the judge advocate, the defense attorneys for the people held at Gitmo was leaking information to the prosecution to make sure the prosecution could win their cases.
Oh, shit.
So the judge said, we need to reappoint new lawyers. They fucking arrested this white general from the Marine Corps and put him under house arrest. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sure you guys heard about this, right?
No. Not at all.
No, that's why we got you on the show.
Listen to me. If they would put a white boy who's a Marine Corps general under house arrest for just following the law, what the hell you think they would do to me?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
That's why I quit doing radio shows with Carl Nelson back in 2001. My last radio show with Carl was when he owned a radio station down in Miami, Florida. Cubans listen to that show. And I told him, if Bush goes into Afghanistan, we're going to see heroin on the streets here like Romper Room. Making Vietnam War look like Romper Room. But more importantly, he passed that damn what? What law got passed under the George W. Bush administration after the World Trade Center?
Patriot Act.
There you go. They could lock my ass up and send me to Guantanamo Bay, because none of those people in Guantanamo Bay have been allowed to see their parents, see attorneys. There is no damn habeas corpus, constitutional rights, Bill of Rights, or anything. You labeled as a domestic terrorist, you don't have any rights.
Nope. Well, they got rid of habeas corpus, so they can just lock you up and don't charge you with nothing, just keep you there.
But they're doing it at Guantanamo Bay.
Indefinite detention.
So what happens? Obama comes in. Obama's one of his campaign promises. What was one of his campaign promises regarding Guantanamo Bay?
I will shut Guantanamo Bay.
There you go. So now, you got these John Birch Society boys going, yeah, right. While Obama was swearing in across town, they were already having a meeting, and they state, we're going to make this nigga a one-term president.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not making this up. As Obama was swearing in across town, they were already deciding their number one objective. And what did Rush Limbaugh come out and say publicly on his radio? I hope he fails.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Okay? So,
I think they all
while this
said
is
that.
going on, you fast forward a few years later, who does Obama bring home as a hero from Afghanistan?
Wasn't it Bodog?
There you go.
Mm.
And how did he bring them home?
How did I can't remember how it all.
Obama traded 5 guys from Gitmo for Bergdahl.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wake up, guys. If Obama starts trading people from Gitmo for our prisoners, what's going to end up happening to Gitmo?
They'll get shut down. There wouldn't be nobody there.
And the damn John Birch Society jumped on that shit right away and said, first of all, you're the damn president. We're Congress. You don't have the right to make those kind of decisions without our approval. Secondly, they started putting out all this propaganda about how the 5 guys Obama traded were high-level ISIS and you know, all kinds of members, and they've gone back to doing terrorism, which is bullshit. But what else did they do? What did they paint the picture of Bergdahl as?
A traitor.
Yeah.
Now, they'll sit here. You got Mark Levin. You guys all familiar with Mark Levin?
Yeah, I know who that scumbag is.
All right, so Mark Levin comes out because, you know, he calls himself a Jew, but that just means ethnicity. That doesn't mean go to synagogue. And he talks about how Israelis would never make a deal with terrorists. You know who Mark Levin is, right? You do realize he was Ed Meese's speechwriter, right?
No, I didn't know that.
Do you know who Ed Meese is?
No.
Because now he's on Fox and everybody. Ed Meese was the most corrupt attorney general of my lifetime. Got indicted under the Reagan administration.
Oh, shit.
No, before Donald Trump even swore in, I told listeners on a radio show, Trump hasn't even sworn in yet, but just by looking at the names he's recommending for his cabinet, this will be the most corrupt administration since the Ronald Reagan, and Ronald Reagan was the most corrupt in my lifetime. So, while Mark Levin claims the Israelis won't deal with traitors, do you know there was one private in the Israeli army who was being held captive? Guess how many Palestinians and Arabs was traded for that one private?
How many?
2,500.
Holy shit.
Including self-admitted multiple murderers.
So they got serial killers.
That's not my point. My point is Obama trades 5 people for one white boy, and they make it sound like it's the end of the world, and they use Israel as an example of who would never do that when Israel traded 2,500 for one white boy.
Damn.
Yeah.
Standards are always
And
different.
unlike what they said about the guys at Gitmo, there's some hardcore terrorists who were traded by Israel for this one white boy. Because as an American, you will do whatever it takes to bring your men and women home.
Yes.
So let me just tell you a little about Bull Bergdahl. You guys ever heard of Robert Garwood?
Never heard of him.
Exactly. Well, as soon as I heard about the Bull Bergdahl story, I thought about Robert Garwood. Robert Garwood was this Marine. He was the first Marine taken POW during the Vietnam War. Years later, after the war is over, he's released and comes home. All this propaganda came out about him being a traitor, was working with the Vietnamese, blah, 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 blah. They had him working in supply down at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. This is around 79. I'm a sergeant in the Marine Corps Reserve. I'm in Charleston, South Carolina. That ain't that far away. I'm brainwashed, young, done, full of cum. What do you think I was planning on doing to Garwood?
Probably murdering him. He's a
There
traitor.
you go. By the way, everything I'm telling you, Garwood knows because Garwood follows me on Facebook. I didn't know this. But everything I'm telling you, he's read. So I'm not telling you something Garwood doesn't know.
Right.
There's a book that came out by a woman named Monica Jensen Stevenson called Kiss the Boys Goodbye. And she tells you the true story about Garwood and how Garwood knew about all the drugs coming back here from French Indochina, and how also American POWs were still over there and nobody's doing anything to bring them home. Well, you can't have Garwood coming home talking about this, because at that time, Jimmy Carter was president, and he was already making deals with the Vietnamese to reopen negotiation and trade. Because last time I was on this show, I told you, who was the number one producer of rice when we went into Vietnam?
Vietnam.
And where does Vietnam buy their rice from now, thanks to Agent Orange and Agent Blue?
Us.
There you go. Well, now that Jimmy Carter's administration is reopening negotiations, by the way, if you didn't know this, for the last 5 years, Vietnam has been the number one tourist attraction for American veterans, because they're all going back there now. But my point is this. With Ho Chi Minh, Vietnam now opening negotiations with U.S., you can't allow somebody to come back home telling you that we still have U.S. POWs over there, because now the American citizens are going to demand that Carter does something.
Right.
So all this propaganda came out against Robert Garwood, and guys like myself who were brainwashed and believed the crap. You know, fortunately for me, I had some old white men tell me, boy, buy me a drink, shut up and sit down.
Mm.
And when I was enlightened, and I changed my mind about killing Garwood. I'm not proud about it, but I just call a spade a spade. You know me, I ain't going to lie on you.
Right. But at least you were honest enough
So
to
I'm just
show.
telling you, so now fast forward Bo Bergdahl. Bo Bergdahl belongs to this kind of a different religious group. He had already been in the Coast Guard. Things didn't work out so well from there. He really shouldn't have been even, not only should not have been enlisted, but he damn sure shouldn't have been put in the combat zone. But he had these fantasies of being, some Army sniper or special forces, a hero. Because, see, that's what white boys, what? Most of the military is poor white boys from small town America who got nothing to show for anything. But if you join the military, woo, you somebody.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So Bo Bergdahl, while he's over there, he sees shit going on that he knows is wrong. He can't live with it because of his religion. By the way, that's why there's so many suicides. All these people are coming home knowing they've seen and done stuff they had no business seeing or doing based on the way they were brought up,
Right.
and they can't live with themselves. So Bo Bergdahl reports this to higher command. Shut up and go back to work. Goes to the chaplain. Sorry, boy, I can't help you. Well, now he's frustrated. So what he does, he packs everything on his rack, puts his M16 on the rack, leaves the base when he's supposed to be on guard duty, and he goes towards the nearest, closest U.S. American base to report the criminal activity there.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, while he's on the way to the next base, he gets captured.
Yep.
So the propaganda comes up. And there's a lobbyist group, a far right-wing lobbyist group out of D.C. that's been putting all this propaganda out. Now, if this guy was such a traitor, why do you need this right-wing lobbyist group putting this information up?
Yeah, he wasn't really.
So you've heard the stories about Navy SEALs and others who got killed searching for Garwood?
Didn't hear about them.
But that's the propaganda that was put out there. That's how you turn people against him, because no matter what you think that he might, all right, well, we'll feel sorry for him because he was doing the right thing. But when you say you American people, they even have widows come out telling you, my husband died looking for looking for Bergdahl. It's all bullshit.
Mm.
Even the command sergeant major of his unit said no American was ever killed while looking for Bergdahl. First of all, Bergdahl wasn't even there anymore, because 6 months after he'd been captured, they already knew they took his ass to Pakistan.
Right.
So why would you still have people on search parties looking for Bergdahl?
Yeah, why?
Because that's how you get money. If I want to go on an operation, maybe my commanding officer might approve it, but we can't get the money to justify it. But if I said I was looking for an American missing in action who's been taken POW, guess what? All of a sudden we get the money for the operation. Most of the guys that were killed in the so-called looking for Bergdahl were actually killed on operations where they were trying to make areas safe so the people in Afghanistan could go vote on election day. Had nothing to do with Bergdahl.
That's crazy.
That's the truth. And see, I run Marine Corps sites. I run Navy SEAL sites.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys are fanatics. They're brainwashed and they're fucking fanatics. But guess what? They hate my guts, but they know one thing about me. And what's that?
Speak the truth.
There you go. And now that these guys have access to information, they're starting to say, wait a minute. So what they do is they don't comment on it at all. If anybody else was to post that kind of shit on my site, they'd be all over it. Now, of course, they would boot me off the site, but they can't boot me off the site because why? I'm the administrator for the site.
Right.
So what I'm telling you is I've got thousands of Marines, Navy SEALs, and other people who follow me who hate my fucking guts. But they read everything I put out there because they know I'm not going to lie to them. And I just told you the true story about Bergdahl. And and when I told them that I'm actually the guy who was planning on killing in Garwood, hey, that hits home, okay? Because they know now I'm talking real shit here.
Yeah, that feed's dead.
And I will say this: the woman who wrote the book on Garwood, "Kiss the Boys Goodbye," she follows me on Facebook too.
Huh. This is
Even this show tonight. Trust me, when somebody who's there is one of your, the host of the show, when he decides to post that YouTube website on my site, you'll be surprised how many people already know I'm on the show.
wow.
And the majority of them ain't colored folks.
No, I mean, even from like the people who have been commenting us, it's predominantly white folks that I guess find these topics interesting. I mean, we got a lot of young black folks.
No, it's always been white folks. See, we folks don't come to our own people. See, you guys are young. Do you know what an ice box is?
Yeah, I remember those. Actual where you put the ice in the
before
box.
refrigerators, we had ice box. Well, there was a time when, guess who used to deliver the ice in most major cities?
Black men, icemen.
Right. But then all of a sudden, when the white man took over the market, the white man's ice must be colder. That was the same. Well, the same thing when it comes to knowledge. A person as myself can come out here and talk until I die. Colored folks ain't going to listen to me. But if a white boy comes out and says it, then it's the gospel. Because the white man's ice is colder.
Oh, just like Tim Wise. Oh, God, yeah. Well, you are by far one of the most intelligent
I
people.
got all kinds of white folks. Well, I won't just say white folks because I know Spike Lee follows me too. But I got all kinds of white folks who do nothing but follow me because they're looking for, because Hollywood's dead.
Oh.
Journalism's dead. So these guys read my shit and then go back and do research. Then they go out and do a movie script or a newspaper article or something that most people have never heard before. And as you can tell already tonight on your show, everything I told you, most people have never heard before.
Exactly. And not only that, it seems so funny because, like, during some of the critical things that you were saying, it's like, right when you were about ready to say something, the audio would shift a little. And then we're having all kinds of technical problems around here, too.
Well, at least I don't get nobody knocking at the door yet.
Go ahead,
dude.
Tell everybody there's a pizza man.
Hey, you laugh. I'll just tell you this. Christopher Dorner was supposed to be me. Because when I left LAPD, they thought I was going to write a tell-all book.
And that probably got them scared.
It ain't no accident that you had 5 movies come out in a short period of time like Django Unchained. What does Django Unchained show you?
Shows us people fighting back against slavery.
No, a pissed-off nigger killing white folks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it definitely shows that.
What does The Birth of a Nation show you?
Pissed off?
Black people killing white people.
There you go. And what's the biggest fear of white America?
That they will be hunted down.
If they ever get into a position of power like Obama did, they're going to do to us
what they did,
what we did to them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why Donald Trump got into the White House. When you look at the number of white women who voted for president in 2016, who got the majority of the vote?
Trump did. Trump got the majority vote for white women.
A white woman was more likely to vote for a misogynist who tells you he grabs women in their pussy than a white woman would vote for another white woman for president. That's how much self-hatred we have for ourselves in this country.
Yes.
Then you got Nancy Pelosi, who gonna stand up there and do her little thing. Now, of course, they don't give her any respect because she's a woman. So most of the propaganda says she was talking for 6 hours when she actually talked for 11 hours and broke the record. But what does Nancy Pelosi say? How her little white grandson, she's so proud of him because he wanted to be brown-skinned like a Guatemalan. But what kind of message does that send out there to right-wing racist America?
She's not down with the team.
That whites hate themselves so much that they want to be like illegal immigrants. Because the white man has felt oppressed for a long time because they've been led to believe that they lost their job because they're the wrong color and they have the wrong plumbing.
Yeah. What? So far from the truth.
Now, I joined LAPD in 1984. In 85, I graduated from the academy and I went to this one division. By the way, the same division that Dorner went to and went through his racism. You know what my first greeting was when I went to my first division on patrol for LAPD?
How was it?
Welcome to Harbor Division. We don't like niggers and we don't like split tails.
What the fuck is a
Do
split
you know what a
tail?
split tail is?
What is it? Oh, a girl.
A woman. There you go. And I was so happy. Do you know why I was happy?
Why?
Because I knew exactly where they were coming from, so I didn't have to pretend like this is some liberal California.
Wow. Yeah.
See, unlike myself, Christopher Dorner in later years went to Harbor Division, and he actually thought when he went to a black supervisor, he was reporting misconduct that was going to be taken care of. He didn't realize, guess what? Little has changed. Because I'm going to tell you a little secret about Chris Dorner that nobody ever talks about. You know what his number one crime was?
What?
Like myself, I was a Marine Corps officer. He was a Navy officer. I had white boys tell me in Harbor Division, who were my training officers, listen, these white boys are afraid to death that one day they may have to work for you. Now let's fast forward to the 2000s. Not only were they afraid of Christopher Dorner because he was a Navy officer and they may have to work for him one day, what's the number one cardinal sin that a black man can do in the eyes of a white racist man?
Oh, yeah, hook up with a white woman.
Guess who he was married to?
A white woman.
Not only a white woman, a white female cop at Long Beach Police Department, and you ain't never heard that before. And nobody talks about where is she today.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So, I mean, it's
You
reality.
guys are back there in the Midwest, you don't know this, but San Pedro, California is next door to Long Beach. In fact, San Pedro Harbor and Long Beach Harbor are adjacent. The nerve of this nigger coming here with his white wife, and he gonna report misconduct? We'll show him. So I love it because, you know, here he is. You realize he was supposedly killed at Big Bear, right?
Right.
In the snow. This time of year, by the way, because, you know, the murders that started on Super Bowl Sunday. So let me ask you a question. If I am a Negro, why would I go hide out in all-white Big Bear in the middle of snowy season?
You wouldn't.
There you go.
You wouldn't.
But it gets better. It gets better. Now, I was doing a radio show live at Carl Nelson that morning. And I guess they loved so much what I was saying that they would bring me on that afternoon. A half hour before the show and a half hour until after the show went off, I had no internet and no telephone service.
I wonder why.
We starting to
This
feel
is
your
something I wanted
pain.
that upset some people.
We starting
But-
to feel your pain.
On the day of the so-called shootout with Sheriff's Department in San Bernardino County, because that's where Big Bear is located, I was doing a radio show with Carl. Now, Carl's show ends at 4 o'clock my time on the East Coast. No, I should say 7 o'clock on their time on the East Coast, 4 o'clock my time. So this is what I said before the show went off.
You there?
Hello?
His name's Tony. Do you know what chonies are?
No.
Underwear.
Oh.
Anyway, so I said, that's the Mexican slang for underwear, cholo underwear. Anyway, so I go, if you don't see Christopher Dorner come outside in his chonies in the next 15 minutes, it's going to be just like the Symbionese Liberation Army in 1974, and they're going to burn that cabin to the ground. What happens 15 minutes later?
They burnt him's ass to he died.
The fire was so intense he was burned beyond recognition. But what did they find in the ashes right next to the body?
Don't know.
His driver's license in perfect condition.
It sounds like the World Trade. Perfect passport.
I gotta find a key where I can.
Oh, you mean like all these so-called Muslim terrorist attacks in France where the guy has a suicide vest bomb on, blows himself up, blows up people, but his passport is in perfect condition next to the remains?
Every time. See ya.
Wake up, guys. Wake up, guys. The John Birch Society is doing here what they're doing over there. And in the old days, they used to be called things like the World Anti-Communist League.
Yes.
Western Goals Foundation. Now, Western Goals Foundation was headed by the head of the John Birch Society, as I told you, McDonald. That led to the largest domestic spy scandal in LAPD history. Western Goals is relocated to the UK. That's why you got the problem with Brexit now. These John Birch Society members have caused this whole Civil War thing to go on, and Great Britain right now is as close to a civil war as we are.
I did not know that.
But see, you don't get the news from over there. You don't hear what's going on. See, we think everything that's going on here is only happening here.
Right.
It's already happened in other countries, and it's happening there. In fact, you look at Germany, Merkel is the last one who's not a far right wing, and they're trying to set her up. All she needs is one more good so-called Muslim terrorist attack to make her look weak, and she's gone.
Right. She can't defend Germany from the evil horde.
There you go. There you go.
So what can we do other than educate people? And
do like I do. Get laid, get high, go surfing.
Well, I can't surf the Mississippi River.
No, actually, I'm sorry. That was first of all, I don't get high. Yeah, but you guys are thinking about it for a minute. Let me write this down. No, seriously. It's sad, but this is what I tell folks. I go, look, man, I spent more than 25 years trying to come on radio and sending out emails warning folks that this was going to happen. Most folks call me conspiratorial, paranoid, whatever. They were too busy trying to buy into Wall Street, and now that their whole world's collapsing. I'll give you a good example. When they ran me out of LAPD, I was able to leave. You know why? I had a pension. I tried to warn these LAPD cops who didn't listen to me. What did they do? They switched their pensions over to a 401k.
Mm.
When the stock market collapsed in 2008, some of these cops lost as much as 60% of their money.
Right.
So now you got guys who are 65 years old still chasing 13-year-old girls through the alley because they can't afford to retire.
Wow.
Oh, they hate me, dudes, because they, you know, like I said, I run LAPD sites. They see all my photographs. Not to mention the fact that I coach female surfers. So what do all my surfers look like?
Probably little white girls.
There you go. And that drives them fucking crazy.
You got the money, you got the women, and the knowledge.
Like that, I have not been near or close and intimate to a woman since I quit LAPD because I knew if I was able to get back involved in something. Well, first of all, I already knew they were going to try to set me up because they were paranoid I was going to write a book. But then when Trayvon Martin happened, I could no longer sit on the sidelines as some knee-knocking nigger and not get involved. So when Trayvon Martin got murdered, I'm like, oh, I can't do this. If they're going to lock my ass up under the damn Patriot Act, then so be it.
Right.
Because I saw a deliberate attempt to foment hatred and anger in this country towards the Civil War. So that's when I went back to Carl Nelson for the first time since 2001 and go, brother, I can't do this anymore. And Carl was happy to have me come back on the radio because by that time, a lot of folks that didn't even know who I was.
Mm.
But when they started listening to me, they're like, damn. So my point to you is this. Trayvon Martin's murder brought me back into the fold. And I live every day of my life as if it could be my last because it's not promised to anyone.
Right.
And just today, 2 more journalists were murdered down in, I think, El Salvador. When you got the guys trying to tell the truth what's going on in Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, Nicaragua,
That's
oh my God. Journalists are getting killed left and right. Mexico, getting killed left and right. So I'm just telling you that I wasn't surprised getting that knock on the door during your last show, and they mysteriously disappeared after I hung up the phone with you and grabbed a couple of my... By the way, do you guys know what it means when I say Roscoe?
No. What is Roscoe?
Yes, those are handguns. So I
Gotcha.
grabbed a couple of handguns before I kind of quietly went up to that door, and it's funny because there was nobody there.
What about cars?
So maybe that was a polite warning, letting me know that they're listening to you guys, which means to you, watch your asses, because that means you're having an impact.
Mm.
And I can tell already from some of the folks who have secretly sent me messages to go, hey, man, I'm watching that YouTube video of you on the morning show, dude. That show is the bomb, dude.
So many people have. Yeah.
No, I'm just telling you. So just watch your asses, man, because now you're a threat.
I'm just a little country
Information
boy.
leads to knowledge. Knowledge leads to power. And when you have power,
You're a threat.
other folks who think they're in charge don't no longer have control over you.
That is true.
There was a TV show called Get Smart. Ever heard of that show?
Yeah, I remember that one. Agent 99.
Well, Don Adams was a U.S. Marine, war veteran, drill instructor too. On that TV show, who did Don Adams work for? Who did Maxwell Smart work for?
Oh my God, not Control. That was the enemy.
Yes, it was.
Control. He worked for Control, right?
And what was the other group?
Chaos.
There you go. So wake up, folks. Very little happens in politics in the U.S. by accident.
Wow.
Certain factions create the chaos. You demand something to be done about it.
Yes.
The government comes in, does what you demand, but in the process, you give up your rights and your power to them, giving them control over you to feel safe from chaos.
Exactly. Like, 9/11. Great example.
So when you got a TV show that comes right in your face and tells you this, why are people acting all shocked and surprised?
A good question. Why? We know the score.
They're programmed to believe that a television show or a movie is just entertainment.
Yeah, it's just fake.
Yeah.
Listen,
Worse, you're also programmed to believe if somebody as myself tells you the truth, he's paranoid or conspiratorial.
Yeah, or just playing
Mind you,
crazy.
Do you realize the average person now who's a so-called analyst on MSNBC, Fox News, CNN, regardless, do you realize they're like former generals, CIA, etc.?
Yeah.
In fact, during the Gulf War in 1991 through 1992, do you know if CNN even came out and admitted that they had CIA assets on that show?
Wow. Like an Anderson Cooper
And who's
guy.
Anderson Cooper? Who's Anderson Cooper?
He's CNN, little flagship guy. And
Really?
CIA. Ex-CIA. Or maybe even...
Is there such a thing?
Yeah, I had to correct myself. There's no X.
No, I'm just telling you. So what I'm just saying is, I'll give you the best example. What's one of the most memorable scenes ever shown on television? Of course, it was propagated on CNN. Remember when the statue of Saddam was brought down?
Yes.
Who brought that statue down?
The people, the Iraqis.
Bullshit. Those were all U.S. American soldiers from a PSYOPs unit out of Maryland.
Wow. In civilian clothing.
I'm just telling you, so to this day, even now, you still think those were Iraqis who did that.
Yes.
That whole in fact, they wanted the Marine Corps to do that, and the Marine Corps wouldn't go along. Because I don't give a shit, so I'll tell you tonight. The Marine Corps didn't go along with that, so the Army came in and did it. Let me tell you another thing the Marine Corps didn't go along with. You got to have a female hero. Who was the female hero during that war?
Oh, Jessica Parker?
Jessica Parker. You mean Jessica Lynch?
Yes, yes.
I always love those last names. and why was she a hero?
Because she was taken prisoner and all that good stuff.
She was? I told people the first day I heard about that, and that's what's great about the email because it has a date and time.
Mm-hmm.
I go, they were driving at night, and I taught desert warfare. It's hard to drive at night in the desert. That vehicle fell off a cliff. Let me tell you the truth about Jessica Lynch. Iraqis found her. Iraqis found her, took her and her buddies to a makeshift clinic and then went to the Americans and said, hey, we've got some of your American people here. They're better now. They're well enough to be transported. Come get them. What does the American do? Oh, no, we got to turn this into a rescue operation. So they went to the Marine Corps, and the Marine Corps goes, fuck you. That ain't no rescue operation. We ain't going to be no part of that. And so the U.S. Army came in and did it. Now you know. Hey, I just call a spade a spade.
And
That's, by the way, I should tell you something. That's why they like your show. Because, see, I love Carl to death, but I don't get drunk before Carl's show.
and Carl probably don't get drunk during the show like we do.
That either, yeah.
I need some beer advertisement here. Come on, Coors, last American beer. Come on. So,
See, that's your guy's mistake. I'm from the South. I know I was drinking corn squeezins when I was 10 years old. Do you know what corn squeezins are?
what is this?
Moonshine.
Oh,
Oh, you guys go out to Vegas. They had that pussy stuff called Everclear, but yeah, that's close to it. But yeah,
Hey, I have to tell you something.
dude,
Now.
these guys used to run that stuff in their car. You know, all these race car drivers and NASCAR back in the old days, they used to be moonshine runners. That's how they made their money. That's how they learned how to drive.
Right, on those back roads, evading the tobacco and
Oh
firearm
yeah,
people.
okay, Mister, you're right. Name me the first black NASCAR driver.
Oh my gosh.
There you go. So now you guys got some homework. Find the movie with Richard Pryor and just put down Richard Pryor NASCAR movie.
No, I remember seeing that movie.
And I'm happy for you, but you still can't tell me his name, can you?
No, I cannot.
He was a moonshine driver too. And the first black guy to actually, he would have won all those NASCAR championships, but they used to sabotage his cars and shit, and he got no sponsors. You know, kind of like my female surfer. That's why I got to be careful coming on your show, because now I got to worry about my little white girls and getting blowback for being on the show.
Right.
But that's why I also coach most girls from other countries, because most white girls here in this country, their families can't get past the black thing. Anyway, but yeah, Richard Pryor does a great job in that movie. And NASCAR is still the all-American patriot sport, but guess what? When Colin Kaepernick took a knee, even the number one boy they worship in NASCAR said, guess what? I support Colin Kaepernick. Now, of course, he was retired, so he didn't care anymore. But they loved him until he said that.
That would be...
Because all they got left now is NASCAR and hockey. So there's the plan. The plan is to get rid of the niggers and bring white boys back into the NFL. The plan is also to get rid of niggers and make it so difficult in this country to get a job that even white folks now will take the jobs that illegal immigrants are taking.
Right. That's true.
I'm just telling you, because guess what? White folks have been doing that job for the last 10 years. Well, everybody talking about how we move jobs to Mexico, China, Taiwan. You want to know where most American companies went to get cheap labor?
Where?
Who were the niggers before black people were in this country?
The Irish.
There you go.
Ireland.
So I'm asking you again, where did the jobs go?
Ireland.
No, Northern Ireland.
Exactly.
Remember, they're not the same country.
Yeah, exactly. What is the
You have to
difference?
understand something, buddy, but listen to me. I'm from the Brown clan. That means I'm part Scottish, part Irish, part Eastern Band Cherokee, and I'm African. And there have been times when white boys wanted to attack me until they found out about my Scottish and Irish lineage and how I used to support another Michael Brown, I should tell you. And that great lad, Michael Brown, used to be head of the IRA and used to ask for funding on the East Coast. And I'm from Charleston. So Boston and Philadelphia and Charleston, we used to send lots of money to the cause in the 70s. So I'm just telling you, dude, Sinn Féin sold out. You haven't seen any IRA terrorist attacks because the Irish were so poor that folks like Google and Amazon, everybody moved their plants over to Ireland, Northern Ireland, gave them jobs. And even though they're getting paid slave labor, but they're so poor white trash, they're so happy to have those jobs, there's been no terrorist attacks.
Wow.
And now those companies are moving out of Northern Ireland, bringing that money back here to the U.S., and Great Britain's pissed off because they never paid any taxes over there, and they never paid any taxes here.
Exactly. I knew they were pissed. But when you're an international global company, you can get around taxes. What are taxes to me?
Yeah, well, I'm going to pay for having told you that one. Hey, if you guys want a good idea what I'm talking about, see the movie Blown Away.
Blown away.
Or see a movie with Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt comes over here. See a movie with Brad Pitt and Harrison Ford. It takes place in Philadelphia, no less. Brad Pitt is a good Irish lad, comes over to the U.S. to come stay with some relatives in Philadelphia, and Harrison Ford is a Philadelphia police officer, has no idea what's going on. And I have no regrets, no embarrassment, and no apologies for... I gotta be careful on that. I'll just say this. Back in Charleston, back in the day, we... Irish and Scottish lads. We have a song that you never hear by the Beatles, and I sing it all the time just to piss off the bloody Brits. Give Ireland back to the Irish. That's a Beatles song. You never even heard it.
No. That didn't come in with the British invasion. They kept that one.
Well, Tavistock was behind the British invaders. Are you guys even familiar with Tavistock?
Mm-mm. I mean, I've heard it. I heard
you
that.
Think the Beatles just came? You think the Beatles just came out of nowhere and started wearing their hair long so that they can program white children not to follow their fathers, don't get a haircut, don't listen to them?
Right.
That's all done by design, bro. All by plan. Tavistock. You guys look that one up. T as in Tom, A, V as in Victor, I, S. Tavistock. T-O-K.
T-O-K.
Sometimes spelled T-O-C.
Okay.
Tavistock is one of the most influential think tank groups on the planet. You never even heard of them. And yet half the stuff you do right now is related because of something Tavistock did.
That is crazy.
Dick Gregory guys really scared. Well, I won't use the term scared. I just say Dick. I met Dick back in I can't remember, but it was shortly before Reagan got shot. I was in Charleston, South Carolina, going to college in Charleston, the first municipal college in the country, by the way. And Dick was speaking at this church, or predominantly black church in Charleston. So it's funny because I would not have known about it had not been for my white friends at the College of Charleston. They were going to hear him speak. Most people in the congregation were white, not black. And I talked to Dick later on. Dick told me about how Ronald Reagan was going to be shot and how Ronald Reagan was going to survive. And a few months later, Ronald Reagan was shot and he survived. And it wasn't until 1992, after the civil unrest, L.A. riots, whatever they want to call it here. By the way, I told LAPD brass about the riots a year before it happened, but they didn't listen to me, and nobody called me conspiratorial on 29 April 1992. Well, Dick Gregory started listening to me on Carl's show, and that's when he started telling everybody I was a human early warning system.
Yes.
And I didn't know what the hell he was talking about, but I found out later on that my mom told me how when I was only 2 years old, I was used for psychic experiments. So what I'm saying to you is this. I find it difficult even now as I'm talking to you, but for some reason, I have the uncanny ability of connecting the dots. I can see a story over here and then show you how it's connected to over here, kind of thing. And I say all this to you because right now, we're headed for both a civil war and a world war. Now, last time I came on the show, I told you I don't recognize terms like North Korea or South Korea. What's going on right now as I speak to you?
They're about ready to unite for the Olympics. The Olympics that's going on tonight.
There you go. Who was the only person today that did not stand up during that ceremony?
Probably Pence.
There you go. What's the last thing in the world that the John Birch Society wants to happen in Korea?
A united Korea.
You starting to see the big picture here, folks?
Because we would have
So what I'm telling you is, as we get closer to the possibility of Trump getting indicted, you're starting to see ripple effects in the stock market. What's happened twice now in the last 10 days in the stock market?
It went down and then went up. Roller coaster.
Down again. So,
Hello?
I got to choose my words carefully here.
Oh, I start panicking.
So, what I'm just telling you is, Trump is a punk. Trump wouldn't last one day in jail. So what do you think he would do before he gets actually indicted or goes to jail?
Probably create some sort of war or...
Thank you very much. Something that will distract the American people to the point where we once again become united.
Right.
Forget all of our differences because we have to rally behind a cause.
And that's the cause.
Sadly, I'll just tell you this, folks. I don't use terms like fear. I've died twice, so I have no fear. Plus, I was mentored by Nazis and OSS and ONI boys, so fear is not a part of my reality. And when I mentor and coach my female surfers, I don't allow them to have any fear either.
Right.
What I'll just say to you is this. I am greatly concerned, unfortunately, that the closer that Mueller comes to possibly indicting Trump and other folks, key members of his administration, something may happen that's going to cause a major distraction from it.
Well, like I said before, Kim Jong-il, he doesn't have to have 20 nuclear missiles. All he needs is 6. He launches them into Russia. Russia's automated dead man switch will automatically launch their missiles, and all their missiles aren't targeted towards Korea. Their missiles are targeted towards the West.
Stop. What if somebody else launches it and makes it look as if he did it?
Oh, that's even worse.
There you go.
That's even worse.
And there's some things I want to share, but I won't. No.
You got. Come on, man.
I'll just say this. You had folks putting their children down in the sewers of Hawaii because they were told this is not a drill.
And that's a tragedy. Nobody has bug out bags. No one have gas masks.
Tragedy. Why do we feel so sorry for the folks in Hawaii who went through a 37-minute drill when over in the continent of Africa, black children go to bed every night worried about U.S. U.S. drones and missiles bombing Yemen, Iraq, and all the other countries of Africa because they're nothing but sand niggers. They go to bed every night not only fearing that, actually having it delivered on their damn territory. But we feel sorry for Hawaiians for 37 minutes of being told this is not a drill.
Wow.
Let's not even forget Yemen. Oh, my God.
And that's part of the programming. That's part of the programming.
I'm sorry?
That's part of programming. Like that first interview we did with you. And I threw out that question about homosexuals. I
was here before?
Yeah. It's a Mandela effect.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
And, what you told me that night has totally fucked with my head because it's like, damn, dude.
Why? Because you put a Negro in the White House with Hillary Clinton for State Department and they can kill more black people on the continent of Africa than any white guy could ever get away with?
Yeah, it's just...
Hillary Clinton's the one that called Negroes super predators. How do you think she feels about Negroes? Come on, man.
And then she turns around and...
You think she really left the John Birch Society?
No, absolutely not.
Or did the John Birch Society decide if we're going to win this, we got to have folks on both sides?
Yes. That's the game point. That's the checkmate.
That's the game point.
No matter who wins.
So you look right now what's going on in Kenya. Dude, do you even know what's going on in Kenya right now as I speak to you?
Don't have a clue.
And I knew the homeboy was going to go down because out of nowhere, this white girl gets arrested for putting out anti-presidential propaganda, and the next thing you know, that president of Kenya is like taken down. I'm like, what?
What's the plan for Kenya then? What's just destabilization?
I'll just say this: Eric Prince, Betsy DeVos's brother. Betsy DeVos is Secretary of Education. Edward Prince. Eric Prince is, Knights of Malta, John Birch Society.
Right.
He and Ollie North right now are creating a private army for Trump. And Eric Prince back about 2 years ago, bought this covert covert airplane company. And guess where they're headquartered?
Where?
Take a guess.
Not Kenya.
Oh, yeah.
Not Kenya. Oh my
Hey,
God.
dude. Hey, what do I know? I'm just passing through, man.
I'm just passing through. Dick
Yeah,
Gregory
I'm just passing
said,
through, man.
somebody's going to come and grab you, man, because of the stuff that you be saying. I mean, you definitely have the inside track. You've been on
You
the
have to
inside.
understand something. They made me. They watch me, they nurture me, and they follow me to see exactly where I'm going to go, how people are going to respond, and what's going to happen. When I was with LAPD, even Daryl Francis Gates, I run an LAPD Daryl Francis Gates Facebook site. Why? Because I know stuff about Daryl that most people don't know.
Who exactly is
And the
Daryl?
one thing that Daryl knew about me was I was a social experiment. I knew things about Daryl that most folks don't know. Daryl was not a racist. He was misunderstood. He shouldn't have said dumbass things like black people aren't built normal. That's why they die from the chokehold. Hey. But no, seriously, I run a Daryl Gates Facebook site, and they hate my guts. But dude, I've got photographs and I got stories about Daryl that nobody else has. And hold on, let me see how I say this. I'll just say when I was with LAPD, I used to go into Parker Center, and I had access to a computer system that LAPD captains and commanders didn't have access to. And when the people used to mess with me, Daryl Gates was like, "Leave him alone." And then, dude, here's what's so sad, dude. Daryl Gates had an official photograph of himself taken. And do you know he had somebody sent to the LAPD Academy and asked me permission to send me that photograph?
Wow.
Because the CIA had put out so much propaganda against Daryl Gates by that time, and he knew he was on his way out. And he was afraid that I was going to be offended. So he said, he sent somebody, and I go, dude, are you crazy? So I have this photograph at home. Hang on a second. Let me open my door. Okay, I'm looking at it. I'm looking at a photograph right now of Daryl Gates on my wall in my home that he had personally sent to me after asking permission to send it to me because he knew they had taken him down. And the reason they took him down, when the hostages were taken in Beirut, Lebanon, Daryl Gates, meaning well, but should have kept his mouth shut, said, if I took my LAPD SWAT team, we could go over to Lebanon, we could rescue those hostages. Well, he made the FBI look bad,
Right.
CIA look bad, MI6, MI5, everybody else. So the Reagan administration started going after Daryl. And from that time forward, you started seeing all this anti-LAPD propaganda in the media. And by the time of Rodney King, it had culminated to the point where everybody hated LAPD.
And that makes
at that
sense.
time, LAPD, the mayor could not fire the chief. Okay? Well, the citizens were so manipulated, they changed the charter where now the mayor can fire. In fact, one of the reasons why I came to LAPD was, one, it was the least corrupt department in the country. And two, the chief didn't work for the mayor. And most politicians are corrupt.
Right.
Well, after 1992 with the civil unrest and Rodney King and all the stuff, the people here, once again, I tell you, they fight the system, but they're doing what the system wants them to do. Under the new charter, the mayor can fire the chief.
Wow.
So now, if you have a corrupt mayor, how does the chief of police investigate a corrupt mayor? That's what you have in New York, Philadelphia, and other countries. That's what you have in other places with the FOP. See, we don't have FOP out here. So Daryl Gates knew that I was fighting a good cause, and I miss him. And it was funny because how do I say? There's a woman who I know was a postal worker. I knew about Daryl's death before most people because she was delivering the mail at his home here in Orange County. He goes, Michael, I think Daryl's dead because I'm trying to deliver his mail and nobody's letting me go up to deliver the mail.
Oh, wow.
So anyway, I run a site for Daryl Gates, and a lot of cops follow me on that one. They hate my guts, but they know I got stories and photographs of Daryl, and he was like one of the most misunderstood chiefs of police. So while black folks don't even know this, I'm going to give you all a little history right now because I don't know how much time we got.
Oh,
Have you ever heard of Hattie McDaniel?
No. Hattie McDaniel.
Oh my God!
I know.
Have you ever heard the movie Gone with the Wind?
Yes.
Who the hell do you think is the color woman in that movie?
Oh, that's her. The one that got the first Oscar. Didn't she? Uh-oh. Hello?
I was taught the Queen's English, so I must correct you. That was not her. That was she.
She.
Anyway, Hattie McDaniel is known for Gone with the Wind and had been in over hundreds of movies. So I'm going to tell you all a little history tonight instead of his story. Hattie McDaniel ranks in the top 10 of my all-time favorite civil rights activist leaders. Now, she cut a lot of flack because she played in a lot of movies that were like really derogatory towards the Negroes in this country. However, Hattie McDaniel was one of the first black women to buy a house in a neighborhood that was all white. Because today now, what do you think that neighborhood is? Predominantly black. See, in L.A. we have a term called South Central. Oh, we're not allowed to use that anymore. Now the term is South Los Angeles. I'll just say this. The reason they call it South Central, because depending on where you are on Central Avenue, niggers on one side, stay off the other side.
Wow.
So, I just told you about Daryl Gates. The headquarters for LAPD when Daryl Gates was chief was Parker Center. Parker Center is named after William H. Parker. You guys ever watch Star Trek?
Yep.
The original Star Trek?
The original with Dr. Spock and...
That sexy sister whose bathwater I would drink?
Yeah, Lieutenant Uhura.
Exactly. Every white boy in the world fantasized about sleeping with that woman. But who was the most popular guy on that show?
It was Mr. Spock, by far.
And Mr. Spock is based on the character of William H. Parker, LAPD chief, which is Parker Center named after.
Wow.
Didn't know that, did you?
Mm-mm.
Because Gene Roddenberry, who created Star Trek, was an LAPD sergeant and was also William H. Parker's speechwriter.
Wow.
William H. Parker was a no-nonsense former U.S. Army officer, close ties to OSS. My mentors remember OSS, ONI, World War II Nazis. Parker helped set up police departments around Italy during the end of World War II under the auspices of OSS. LAPD was one of the most corrupt police departments in the country, with guys like the mayor, Frank Shaw, Chief James E. Davis. The city of LA went down to Marine Corps Base Camp Pendleton. William Wharton, who was the Major General down at Pendleton, retired from the Marine Corps. OSS connections, by the way. In fact, he was the only Marine Corps general on the ship when the Japanese surrendered to MacArthur.
Oh, U.S. Missouri. Battleship Missouri.
Correct. William Wharton, W-O-R-T-O-N. So William Wharton came up to LAPD. He's the one who cleaned out LAPD, even though Parker gets credit for it. Well, the problem is the city charter at that time stated if you're an outsider interim chief, you cannot become the permanent chief. So Wharton decided who are they going to pick to be the new chief. William H. Parker, who only came in number 3 on the list, became the chief. And you know why?
Why?
Hattie McDaniel.
Really?
What most folks don't know in this country, especially in L.A., the black community, who were so sick and tired of the corruption and the mafia involved. In fact, let me just say about the mafia and LAPD. If you go to Las Vegas, what's the name of the number 1 street in Las Vegas? What's the nickname for it?
Oh, my God. I can't remember offhand.
Yeah, you can.
The Strip? Yeah, the Strip.
That name was given to it by an LAPD captain who was in charge of vice for LAPD. Because out here in L.A., the Al Capone of the West Coast was an LAPD captain in charge of vice.
Really?
Yeah, just call a spade, dog.
What was his? Do you know his
and
name?
I've got the photographs. Everybody's like, where the hell you get these photographs from? Anyway, so my point to you is this. Hattie McDaniel and everybody knew how corrupt LAPD was and how in bed they were with the mob and how they ran Hollywood. So if you ever go back and look at the movie Al Pacino in Godfather #1, there's a scene where the movie director doesn't give a job to somebody who's the Corleone family. And what happens to that movie director?
His horse ends up in the bedwetting. The head.
You do realize that's a true story, right? Let me just put it this way. You see that guy screaming in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
When he pulled the sheet up, he had no idea there was going to actually be a horse's head in his bed. That was not acting. Since that time, every movie now has a statement, no animal was actually harmed during the filming of this movie. I'm just saying, hey, what do I know? I'm just calling a spade.
I didn't sign up for this.
Excuse me. So anyway, so what happens is, because Wharton couldn't be the chief, being an interim chief, and he was outsider, he selected William H. Parker, who was known for being no nonsense, not corruptible. William H. Parker cut a deal with the black community. No more racism, because back in those days, all blacks worked in Newton Division. No blacks and whites could work together on the street. So he promised to end that segregation. Tom Bradley was the mayor of L.A. for 4 terms. You guys probably don't know who he is, but he was an LAPD lieutenant before that. Tom Bradley was on the fast track to become the first black deputy chief of LAPD before anybody else. But Tom Bradley was doing a community relations meeting. Somebody who was sent by Parker to spy on the meeting, and to this day I can't verify whether it's true or not, but he claimed that Tom Bradley badmouthed LAPD to look good in front of the black community. Parker reneged on all the promises, sent Tom Bradley back out to the streets, Newton Division, all black division, as a watch commander. And I'm just letting you know, folks don't even know it, but if it hadn't been for Hattie McDaniel and the black community of LA, LAPD's corruption would not have ended, and William H. Parker, who Mr. Spock is based on, would have never been chief of LAPD.
Wow.
Because I share history instead of his story.
Wow.
So while people talk this crap and call Hattie McDaniel Uncle Tom and a sellout, Hattie McDaniel did things behind the scenes that people don't even know. Thanks to Hattie McDaniel, black folks were able to buy homes on certain sides of L.A. Thanks to Hattie McDaniel, LAPD was no longer corrupt the way it was in the past. And thanks to Hattie McDaniel, she opened the door for folks that I was so happy when Monique wore that dress, which most folks don't know this, but that was the dress that was the favorite color of Hattie McDaniel. By the way, I should tell you this too. Hattie McDaniel's father was one of the colored troops during the Civil War.
Oh, was he?
Oh, yeah. And that's why I strongly recommend people.
Uh-oh. Hello? Hello? Oh, no. Oh. I'm gonna try here and
House Negro Incorporated.
you can hear me.
Yeah, I guess I must have said something that really pissed somebody
Oh,
off.
yeah.
As soon as I said Hattie McDaniel, I heard the click. Anyway, what I'm just saying is this. Once again, Hattie McDaniel was a strong black woman. The survival of this country and the survival of this planet will depend on a strong black woman. Now, I just shared some history with you that sadly most folks don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I challenge anybody to call me a liar.
I challenge you
And
too.
I've got rare photographs of Hattie McDaniel in her home the first time she bought and everything else. But I'll just say this, okay? It's really sad because the LAPD that I joined in 1984, which was the least corrupt police department, once they changed that charter, everything changed. Now the mayor can fire the chief.
Right.
And that's why a lot of white folks who hate my guts. I run a LA Sheriff site that's close to the public. I run a LAPD site that's close to the public on Facebook. And I also run a site for military intelligence that's close to the public. Now I've got federal agents, chiefs of police, sheriffs, all over the country who are all sending district attorneys and everybody else to read the stuff that I'm writing, because these folks, they were the ones in power. They were the ones in positions of power, and guess what? They don't even have a clue because they didn't know any of the stuff that I'm sharing.
Right.
And that's what's what's really sad, man.
People don't have knowledge. The people who are making the decisions don't have knowledge.
So when the riots happened, I already knew the riots were going to happen. Why? I refused to testify in the Rodney King trial, and I also refused to testify in the O.J. Simpson trial. And when you look at O.J. Simpson, for example, in 1978, they already told you in the Turner Diary that they were planning on killing a white woman married to black men in West L.A. The only reason O.J. Simpson wasn't charged with the murder of Linda Sobeck. By the way, anybody ever heard of Linda Sobeck?
No, I never. I don't even know who that is.
The only reason that O.J. Simpson was not charged with the murder of Linda Sobeck, because he was already in jail for the murder of Nicole Brown Simpson. Linda Sobeck is white, blonde hair, blue eye, O.J. Simpson's girlfriend, cheerleader for the Oakland Raiders that moved to L.A., so she was the L.A. Raider. You folks have no idea what's going on, man. You guys have no idea what's going on.
And she died too, obviously.
I get those photographs too. Anyway, so for folks who want to reach out to me, just find me on Mark from Anaheim, Political Sarcasm 101 on Facebook. And the rest of you could be like this guy who's talking to me on the radio who won't even accept my personal Facebook friend request, but it's all good. No, I don't give a damn. Anyway, so just find me at Mark from Anaheim, Political Sarcasm 101. That's a fan page, not a group site, but if you go to the group site, I will find you and refer you to the fan page.
Gotcha.
You better take advantage of me now, because as time grows closer and closer to Armageddon, which is the plan for the Caliphate Muslims, Wahhabis, along with the Caliphate evangelicals, far-right Catholics, and others, Pentecostals. I don't know how much longer they're going to allow me to do this, so you better find me now, because the information I share, you won't find nowhere else, and it's just a matter of time, because even Facebook now is starting to stop me from commenting on the sites that I even am an administrator for. Okay. And I haven't had access to my email since the last time I did a radio show with the other morning radio show. So, you know, I'm just telling you, so with the internet no longer now going to be allowing you to share your information, time's running out on information. So what I've gotten away with for the last few years since I quit LAPD in 2008, I know my time's running out sharing this information with you and dissemination of this information, so you better take advantage. So once again, Mark from Anaheim, Political Sarcasm 101 on Facebook.
Check it out,
fan
folks.
page.
Check it out, because
I know nothing. I say I know nothing. I have to remind myself of Dick Gregory. When folks sit here and talk about how the Jews run things, and if you hear Alex Jones and others, they were talking about George Soros. That's code word for they hate the Jews.
Right.
If you think the Jews are running things, just go back and look at the TV show Hogan's Hero. When I say I know nothing, that was Sergeant from Hogan's Hero. You really think the Jews could be running this country and allow a filthy TV show like Hogan's Hero to make fun of the neo-Nazis and the Nazis and the Third Reich?
No.
And what they did to the Jews?
No.
I can't take credit for that. You know who taught me that?
Who?
Dick Gregory. Dick Gregory.
Wow. Wow, I wish I could have actually talked to that man.
Yeah, me too.
Me too.
So I just tell you folks this. Also, if you go to Mark from Anaheim, Political Sarcasm 101, I have hundreds of photographs related to Brother Dick Gregory. I haven't posted them. I haven't pasted myself because I'm still dealing with his death.
Mm-hmm.
I'm angry at him because I have no desire to be a Dick Gregory.
But
I
yeah.
know when he got his Hollywood star on the Walk of Fame, he turned around, turned his back to all the journalists, looked at me down on the floor sitting with his family, and looked at me like, I expect you to pick up the mantle.
Mm.
I don't feel that's what I wanted to do, and I know a lot of people want me to take his place, and I don't know what I want to do yet. I'll just say this. I promised when Donald Trump swore I would never do another radio show. Then Brother Greg died, so out of respect for him, I've been doing radio shows. The only reason I'm on this show tonight is because Dick Gregory's dead.
Mm.
However, I am not Dick Gregory. I never said that I was going to take his place. I'll just take one day at a time, and I'll just ask God to lead me in the way he feels that I should be led.
I'm so thankful that.
So what's your next question, bro?
That's basically it. We're my co-host had to leave, and
wait a minute. What time was I supposed to come on this show tonight?
let's not talk about time.
No, wait a minute. What time was I supposed to come on this show tonight?
2 o'clock your time.
What? What time? No, seriously.
No,
didn't I come on your show at 4 o'clock my time?
I called. I called you at 4 o'clock your time. Yes.
Okay, but you just said 2 o'clock.
I was thinking
Drop
of
as a bowling ball.
Yeah, I was thinking.
So that means I've been on this show for almost 3.5 hours.
Yes.
Apparently, yes.
Oh, I get it. The Negro don't have no life. He can come on our show. But I'm not supposed to be on a Friday night going out chasing white girls in the bar? What the hell was wrong with that?
No, but you got white girl.
I know. My girl's over.
So why did I do this? Why did I do this show with you?
You know what? That is $1,000 question. Because I'll be honest, we're not
Drunk
paying
before
you.
the show.
Huh?
Because I got drunk before the show.
I'm right there with you. I got drunk during the show.
Okay, so I did the show with you. I got drunk before the show. Why? Because I don't give a shit.
Exactly.
And more importantly, no, seriously, Carl Nelson is the only person I'll do radio shows with. Why did I choose you guys? And for all the people out there listening tonight, because these brothers are real. So let's just hope that as they get bigger and bigger and more successful, they don't sell out.
Yes.
But you'll know when they do because you won't hear me on the show anymore. Bye!
Bye. Mark from Anaheim, folks. I felt like I kept him on as a hostage. You know, we often go over a little bit, but I only got one feed here, and that's Facebook. Want to give a shout out to CI, Debbie from Behind the Scenes, and others. So that's it. This is the Other Morning Show. I'm the last guy standing. Peace. Have fun this weekend. Be safe, y'all. See you next Friday. Bye.